Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always. If you miss anything, go back, get caught up at your leisure. We'll post all 3 hours upon the conclusion of the show to iTunes and our own audio vault, as well as the WTSM app, which is free for all your mobile devices. You can email the program if you like. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. Hello, YouTubers. How are you guys doing today? Are you doing all right? Periscopers, you too? Yeah. Baseball begins at the end of the week. My interview with Mike Martin Jr. will happen at the end of the week. Actually, interview will probably happen tomorrow. Start talking up some baseball. But then, of course, we'll run that on Friday for opening day. Opening day, kids. What a good day. What a good time.
Should be a nice time.
Let's begin the show with negative news, though. It sucks, but it did feel like it was definitely going to be something that happened. Maybe not specific to this team, but certainly as it relates to us. Defensive back Nick Cross has finally ended the recruitment and has decided to go with Maryland. Now, he is from Maryland, Hyattsville, Maryland, and is a guy that, it was thought certainly would either be coming to Florida State or attending Penn State. If you follow this story, then you know that this is a guy really, from an athlete standpoint, exceptional. Over 6 feet, over 200 pounds, track guy as well as thickness, size, speed, good football player, all the stuff you want roaming your secondary. And I know he was the apple in Tom's eye, and a guy that, again, was a big part of a group, basically the segment that really kind of won the day for Florida State. If you were looking for something that you could feel good about after signing day was over, you would say a couple things. But the first thing you would have pointed to that got largely overlooked because we didn't get a quarterback was the secondary. And you had a 5-star and Akeem Dent, but you had the Brendan Gant kid. And, again, you had the Brownlee kid. And on we went with guys, Travis Jay and so many others that we felt really good about at the position, but also Nick Cross, who had verbally committed to Florida State. As it got closer to the actual signing day, we began to hear the stories of the situation being, in essence, Nick Cross against his parents, or against his dad specifically, I suppose, depending on what you read. But he was wanting to come to Florida State, and his parents were saying no. They didn't believe in Florida State. They wanted him to instead maybe take a good long look at Penn State. And if you fast forward a lot of this, a lot of ups and downs in between and social media posts and reports and all of that, but I'm just trying to get to the point. And the point would be, as we got closer to National Signing Day, we knew that his recruitment and his commitment to Florida State was in peril. It certainly looked like he may go elsewhere and perhaps even Penn State as the final destination. But then he chose not to announce on signing day, held out on that. And it was said to be because that argument continued and they needed more time. And he was fighting the good fight for Florida State. His parents were fighting for, so we were told, or what we read, for Penn State. And somewhere along the way that changed because Penn State surely thought they were going to get him. They felt very good about him when he left campus there during his visit. And ultimately he signs with Maryland. Again, he's from Maryland. I would say that this is the compromise, I suppose, between the two sides, between the young man and his parents. And I don't want to go overboard in the way that I knock the parents, although I do think it's unfortunate. Let's put it that way. I think it's crossing a line, my personal opinion. Some people disagree. Certainly, I have no problem with parents sitting down, having serious conversations with their kids about decisions that have to be made that will affect their life greatly and having strong influence over that. That's what your role is as a parent. I got it. At some point, I believe you do got to back off and let a young man make a decision, and I'm not real sure they did that. So that's unfortunate. Really kind of sucks. I have a stronger opinion than that, but I'll just say that for now. And there he goes. He goes to Maryland, and so we lose out on a kid that could really play. Now, Florida State's secondary class is still very, very, very good. and it's still really the kind of the I would say the cornerstone of the class. But this would have been the cherry on top, to say the least.
You look at his measurables and what he projects to be with the speed he can run and the height he can jump and the football sense he has. Man, this to me was the guy. And it sucks. Maryland was a fledgling candidate on signing day because there was some thought that a compromise would be reached. His parents essentially said anywhere but Florida State, that's what hurts, is if the message is we prefer a university over another, that's one way of putting it. But if you're saying anywhere, any of them, just don't go to Florida State, you're saying, well, what's wrong with us, man? Are you kidding me? We're DBU.
Yeah, he called Florida State his dream school. And then from there, it went downhill because somewhere in there, his parents said, yeah, that's great, but Georgia, Penn State, Maryland, all of these are schools that we'd rather you consider. And frankly, it's not like he's deciding between Stanford and Florida State, Vanderbilt and Florida State. If academics are your concern, you certainly understand there are more prestigious academic institutions than Florida State University. All of us alumni would agree with that. That's fine. But if you're talking about going to play somewhere, if that's the debate at the time, and they say, well, he's trying to figure out whether or not he wants to go to Stanford, to Vanderbilt, to Duke, to where you just name whatever prestigious school you want in a Power 5 conference, okay? Okay, I've said before on the air, when a kid is deciding between us and Stanford and academics are the first thing they cite, we got no shot. Have a good one, son. Enjoy Stanford. Palo Alto's beautiful. I've been there. Enjoy yourself. When other factors come into play, then it gets a little bit more nuanced and you have a greater discussion about this. But Georgia? Nothing against Georgia, but Georgia, Maryland? No. They're not elite academic institutions. They're just not. So that's you wonder where this came into play.
Yeah, you want to go to Maryland where somebody died last year and the administration was willing to bring back that head coach. Sure. Bring your kid to a safe place like home.
Now, of course, they've moved on since then. I know you know that. And Loxley is doing a great job of getting on his feet and paying players to come there immediately. And he should be applauded for his efforts to win games.
What I'm saying is if you want to be illogical, then we can be illogical all damn day about every school.
Sure.
It's crazy.
It is.
And Loxley's
interesting
all-time record as a head coach is
He's got
terrible.
2 wins. He's got 2 wins. Don't you besmirch his 2 victories?
Yes, 2 wins over Florida State this recruiting cycle. With Lance and this guy now.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, we don't know about Lance. A, he may not qualify academically, and B, he's got a bum shoulder. So we don't know if that was actually a good thing for Maryland. But
it sounds like we wanted him, though.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that we're learning more and more that cooled for a reason, that situation was a little bit more intricate than we realized on signing day, which is good news, by the way. Now, the second part of that is whether or not you believe, even if we were cooling on him and saying, we don't like what we're seeing about the rotator cuff, and we certainly don't feel real good about your academics. Okay, that's fine, but what's this other plan? What's the backup plan?
We would have taken him. If you know what I mean? If he faxed it in, I don't think we would have said this is not a committable offer.
For depth purposes, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
For
star purposes and the recruiting rankings, man, now we're 18th in the composite with Cross leaving.
Oh, I don't care about that. Whether you're 15th, 18th, or 21st, or 13th, the differences are when you're 5 or 17th or something like that, And even then, it's about filling needs. Now, we got to do better than where we finished. There's no doubt. And we got to do a better job of having backup plans and plans in general, not staying too long with kids who are clear candidates to take us for a ride. I agree. This is interesting. This comes on the heels, our discussion, you and me here, of talking about this situation. I don't know if you saw this. I'll give a little pub here to my man, Ira Chaffel. He wrote an article today for War Chant. FSU Taggart must get proactive to battle negative perceptions. And I've talked some about this, and Willie Taggart praised the prospects who've signed with Florida State for sticking with their commitments despite widespread, quote, negativity surrounding the program. And I'm quoting from Ira's article here, alluded to that issue several times during his 25-minute Q&A session. Even mentioned it in his opening statement. Quote, considering all the negativity that was out there, for those guys to stick with us and want to be here, I thought it said a lot about these young men and the kind of guys we want here. The guys that will be mentally tough and be able to fight through things. Now, I don't know if that's the wrong way of saying it. I didn't take issue with that. I thought that was the wrong tact. I think by mentioning the negativity that is in the air or that surrounds the program or that these kids chose to ignore and remain committed to, or that in any way that you're fostering and furthering that talking point, that narrative of negativity, sort of the so-called noise in the system that coaches have referred to in the past. I think it comes across as weak. I think you sound weak to constantly reference negativity. Negativity surrounds any program that has high standards and expects to do better than 5-7, expects to make a bowl, expects to win football games. If you don't, if you lose games, negativity follows there shortly thereafter. There's no getting around that except to find a way to put your head down, work hard, get better, win games. It's the only way. And I just think that it doesn't do you any good to acknowledge the negativity. It's as if you're noting that it affects you, that it bothers you, that it can be used against you. It's a little bit like responding to trolls on the internet. You know, that's out there. If you're a public figure in any way, or if you have an opinion about anything and you state it, you're going to get a backlash. It's going to come in. It's going to be in our case, it'd be in the email inbox or on Twitter or wherever it would be, right? If you're a television personality, there are a lot of ways they come at you. But most people figure out somewhere along the way, soldier on, got to do what I got to do. I'm being paid to do this job. I can't really worry about what some dude I've never met thinks of my job or what I said or what I'm doing. And I'm not saying Willie does. I'm not saying Willie sits around obsessed with it. I'm not saying he's worried about it, but it sounds like it, doesn't it? It sounds like it to me when you bring it up a lot.
I think he's mostly qualified it, pretty well by saying you win, people are going to say positive things about you. I think he was a lot better about it in the season, saying, negativity comes with losing. And that's the thing here is you've lost 13 games as a program in the last 2 football seasons. 13 games around here. Did we lose 13 in the run of 4 straight top 4 finishes? It'll probably be pretty close, right? The totals of that run that we had and what we've done the last 2 seasons. So, I don't know. I think you're right. You breathe life into it when you acknowledge it. But I do think when he is talking about it, he's at least being level-headed about the subject. I just wouldn't even bring it up in the first place, though, which is where I agree with you.
I would not. I wouldn't bring it up to begin with because it's part and parcel to what the job entails, and the reaction to losing.
It's like, of course there's going to be negative.
Well, and
now maybe he's trying to cultivate an us against the world culture. I don't know, but it seems to me like Willie Taggart and his identity is about positivity and uplifting a locker room rather than having an angry locker room that wants to prove the world wrong. But maybe when he's rebuilding, probably a good question for people on the Tampa beat or Western Kentucky. I don't know. Maybe he does motivate, saying let's silence the haters, so to speak.
And to be sure, if I'm going to reference that article, there's a lot more to Ira's article and his suggestions for what Willie should do and what Florida State can do in terms of positivity surrounding the program and stories that they can let get out. But I think that's a natural thing, right? I think when you're building something and you're creating a narrative and you're selling something to recruits and fans and alumni and supporters and really people of college football and people who pay attention to college football in any way, that's always what you're doing. You're always putting out things that put you in a better light, put you in a place in which you can be described as positive or doing good things or whatever that might be. So, yes, that's everything from, neighborhood outreach to kicking ass in the weight room to your grades to whatever it might be, anything. What my point would be is this. All programs do that. All coaches, players, and stuff seek to do that and other people involved in the program. And I would just stay there. I just stay there and keep on keeping on in that way. I'm not actively sitting down trying to conjure up positive stories. I'm just putting out there the stuff that's going on.
If you want to review last year, there's not going to be a whole lot of positive things we can talk about as we're, in the off season and trying to take stock of where we are. If you're looking at the recruiting class, there are some positive things. There are some negative things you can say about it. But I just don't know how much news can come out. Maybe I shouldn't dare the gods, right? Because it feels like we just get hit with bad news at every turn these days as Florida State football fans. I'm just in wait-and-see mode now. I've said my piece about the recruiting class. I said my piece about the failures there, the failures in the season, the successes of this recruiting class where we did address some needs and we did a good job. But now There's no chase video that they could put on their Twitter feed. There's no performance that they could have in the spring game that could leave me saying, all right, we're back. I got to wait till Boise.
That's your reaction to anything they produce, but they're still going to produce something, and of course they should. And they should try to get people to come on board and to buy in and to believe. Doesn't matter that you and I are going to go, we'll wait and see. Plenty of people like you and me out
but
there.
I think we're in the majority here. I think the majority of people are wait and see, not completely negative, not completely positive, sunshine.
I agree, but as a university or a PR department or a marketing department or as a staff, you're still going to produce things. You're still going to film and do all these things. You're still going to try to produce the sort of hype videos that get people excited about your program and your product. So that's all going to be positive anyhow. Of course it is. There really isn't much they can do to see a sweeping change in attitude towards the program, save for kick ass on the field. And we all know that. 7 months off. I got it. I said yesterday, and I will repeat this, and I don't know, in a way he's handcuffed here, and I hate it for him. Because we're speaking out of both sides of our mouth sometimes, or at least I am when it comes to this issue. You've got to be who you are. You can't pretend to be something you're not. When you talk to Willie Taggart, whether it's in a professional setting, in our case, a press conference or some sort of gathering where the press is speaking to Willie, he is measured. He is monotone, largely, and he is quiet. He's very, very quiet. He's not a demonstrative speaker. He's not a boisterous man. That's not who he is. Now, it's not saying he's not capable of that. We've seen him yell at players. We've seen him mad at officials. But his general tenor when speaking is measured, soft-spoken.
Yeah, it's just on this side of whispers.
It really is. That's who he is. Clearly, he does it when the cameras are there or not there. Whether you're the only person in the room or one of 100, that's the way he is. So if you suddenly become this other thing, they're going to know you're faking it. You're doing something out of character. That reeks of desperation. You can't do that. You lose people. You lose touch with people immediately. On the other hand, I do think that it can be seen as meek. Very meek when you're 5-7. Almost apologetic. Nervous. Fearful. Not to say he is, but that's how it can be seen and come across after you've had a disaster of a season. And I, on the one hand, understand and say all the time, you have to be who you are. And on the other, I sure would like him to buck up, soldier. Like when I see those press conferences, I want to go, come on, man. A little bit more confidence, a little bit more bravado, a little bit more what for to your presence. He's nondescript. And it's unfortunate because he can't, you can't be something you're not. It'd be like telling Tony Dungy to just go nuts all of a sudden. He was never going to do it. It wasn't who he was.
Yeah, Tony Dungy, F this, F that.
Right.
Yeah,
you can't just suddenly be this other thing, and I get it.
Yeah, Tony Dungy and Bruce Arians apparently were roommates long ago during a camp. They were both hired. I forget what job it was. Maybe it was Cincinnati. If that's not it, then they worked together. Somewhere along the way, they were roommates, and they could not have been more different as people and on-field coaches, all that stuff, because Arians will rip you, and it's like Jimbo in that sense.
Yeah.
And Dungy is very calm and measured, and yet they have all the respect in the world for each other. They both spoke football, but they spoke football in very different ways. And if we win, then Willie will be seen as, man, that guy is
calm, cool, collected, steady, stays the course. Leonard Hamilton isn't freaking out every 2 seconds whether something goes for him or against him. He doesn't exult joyously, run across the court after a big win, nor does he look like he's about to throw a chair if they're on the edge of defeat.
Yeah.
He's very
he's not Passner like he was when we played Georgia Tech a couple weeks ago, ran across the court after a bad – I know it's a bad call, but you look like a clown,
You
sir.
look like
even if you're up 10, you look like a clown.
Like you're out of control.
Yes.
No, and listen, later I'm going to cite that article. There's an article. In this article, Ira cites the CBS article, and I'll bring it up. I planned on bringing it up in the 4 o'clock hour just because I wanted to go over it. But, it's one of those things where the perception right now of Florida State is negative. I mean, there are a number of things you can find, at least as it pertains to football, in which they think, I don't know, Willie. You're not off to a real good start here, and things haven't gotten better since the season ended either. And so I get that, but and I do, again, I feel like I can hear myself kind of contradicting myself when I say, on the one hand, I need you to be more demonstrative, stronger. You need to show me you're confident here. At least that has to be the public display. On the other hand, I know that he is a very calm, measured individual.
I'm not trying to combine or liken the controversies here or the negative pub between these two situations, but the situation at the end of the day is the same. So the Jameis Winston thing, right? Mm-hmm. You have the Uber incident from 2016 now, and that's something that happened a long time ago, but, it's this huge trailing effect, this wake that's far, far past where the boat once was. And it's all of these negative things are going to pile up long after you've resolved
and
the issue. If you're in his camp,
all those,
right?
Right.
So you just got to wear it now. Unfortunately, the wearing it period comes years after you've made the changes. If you're in Jameis's corner and you believe he has made those changes, that's exactly what you got to tell him in a one-on-one, heart to heart.
Got to handle this,
man. You just got to handle this. This is a part of your penance right now. And for Florida State, in the same way, this offseason, there's nothing you can do, Willie. You know what I mean? The situation is the same. You went 5-7. It was an underwhelming recruiting class. You could make an argument that you guys did a great job to keep it top 20, even while you go 5-7 in your first year and you look terrible in a lot of those losses. So, yeah, I know that, Willie, but the press, CBS Sports, ESPN, Yahoo, all these national writers, they're going to pile on into the summer months, into fall camp.
They got to have something to talk about.
It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop until we get on the field. This is your penance. You just got to wear it until we start playing football again.
I don't think he's complained, though, and that's the other part of this, is that I don't want it to come across as me complaining about him complaining. You're right. He's couched most of the negativity comments by saying, well, we were 5-7.
We're losing football games.
I just wouldn't bring it up because that's the one takeaway. Every time you bring up negativity surrounding the program, the discussion and talking point that is furthered is the negativity surrounding the program. Just keep on keeping on, man. Really happy we were able to sign the group that we did. We have, if not the best, one of the best secondary classes in the country. Obviously, we struggled in that regard last year. We're doing a lot to change that. I think it's been a positive offseason for us as we've been able to make some changes on the coaching staff that we think will further what we're trying to do offensively, bringing in Kendall Briles, one of the best coordinators in the country, averaged over 34 points a game at every stop he's ever been at. We still have other changes. We brought back a former Seminole great and awesome recruiter in his own right, and Ron Dugans is taking over as a receivers coach. I mean, these are many things that I'm not saying you would come out and open the press conference that way, but I'm saying you have lots of things that you fall back on there that allow you to just keep moving forward.
But I think it's important to probably connect these two because you talked about this before. If the fans are negative, that's our right at this point.
Yeah,
that's our absolute right.
No.
Because that's what we've seen with our own eyes.
You never come out and blame fans. I don't care who you are as a coach. Yeah. You never do that. It makes zero sense.
But I'm just saying the fans have every right to be pissed off this entire offseason. I agree with you. What I'm saying, they can be mad in June at a random hour just because of what they're
I think
thinking about.
Randomly driving down the road or taking a shower or staring off in the distance at Publix wondering why you have been sent to pick up whatever you have that you might think to yourself, damn it, man, we sucked last year. You know what I do? I sit at a red light and go, not only did we suck last year, we sucked the year before. And frankly, that 10-3 team was a fraud as well. I get mad and go through the machinations and say, this sucked, Jimbo screwed us here. Willie did a terrible job there. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I do that too. And so everybody does who's invested emotionally, financially, and otherwise. Yes, but a coach can never bring that up. He's not doing that. He's not blaming our fans.
I'm just saying, he's not blaming the fans. I'm not trying to start anything, but I think it's important to say, all right, you don't want to acknowledge it if you're Willie, but if you're a fan and you're negative, don't be the other fans like, stop being negative. We need positivity around here.
No. I don't.
Listen, dude.
No,
we don't.
No, we don't.
We need honesty around here.
Also, the people that go on and say and prattle on about how, well, our fans being negative is what leads to a perception of this program and why kids won't choose us. Nonsense. Not true at all. Not true in any way, shape, or form. You know what kids do? They decide whether or not they're going to come to your program for a myriad of reasons. Very few of them have to do with the fan base's tweets. It has to do with their experience when they're on campus, the stories and or experiences that they're told about of the players that are currently here.
Pancakes.
The games that they've seen play out on the field that, in this case, ended more often than not in a loss.
Stacks of pancakes.
Lots of things influence where a kid goes to school. Very little of those things are as important as wins and losses and the experiences they have with the coaches who are recruiting them and their visits.
Blueberry pancakes.
Sure, and if you want to offset some of those negative experiences and or tweets or Facebook posts or Instagram messages, then you pay them. I wish that really, in addition to paying them, we'd get on some sort of bona fide, strong, in-depth steroid program that would allow for us to match up with the likes of Alabama and Clemson. Did you see that receiver for Clemson?
Well, the recruit or?
That kid he's entering the draft. He looks like he's 700 pounds of muscle.
Was that the guy who was going viral?
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Who the hell looks like that? People who are on the proper nutritional programs, that's who.
HGH pancakes.
Jeff Cameron Show 90. How the hell did he make an appearance?
I have Zion.
Why is Coach K
I'm always here. Always.
That's the Jeff Cameron Show.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Locally owned and operated gaming store in town has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Want to know what power feels like? Come get behind the wheel of an all-new, completely redesigned 2019 Silverado 1500 from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevy. Shop over 100 in stock today.
Find new roads at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet and at DaleJrChevy.com.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Recently, I've seen a lot of commercials from attorneys and public adjusters trying to cash in on the hurricane damages to your home or business. Using these individuals could result in a reduction in your insurance claim reimbursement. As a licensed roofing and general contractor, we know how to navigate insurance claims so that you don't have to share your reimbursement with an attorney or a public adjuster. If you have questions, give us a call. Our advice is free. Turning your claim over to an attorney or a public adjuster is not.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Can't we all get along?
Kuchar Bayram presents Kenny Chesney, Songs for the Saints Tour.
No shit.
Friday, April 26th, Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. With special guests David Lee Murphy and Caroline Jones. Tickets on sale now at TuckerCivicCenter.com. Produced by Messina Touring Group and AEG presents.
But we're all right.
It's Golick and Wingo.
Jason Fitz sitting in for Trey. ESPN Major League Baseball insider Buster Olney joins us. Buster, is it good for baseball when two of your biggest stars are still unsigned this close to spring training?
I don't think so, in part because, and I see it on Twitter all the time, fans are complaining, what's the holdup? This is boring. And you compare it to, how the NBA free agency, plays out with reporters basically not sleeping for 72 hours because there's a rush of action. The NFL, over time has increasingly become the same way, whereas baseball, when you have so many teams just sitting back and sort of waiting for the prices to drop. I don't think it's good for the sport. I don't think it helps to generate interest in the sport. It'd be a lot better if we knew that 2 months ago the Giants had signed Harper or the Phillies had signed Harper, and then they could use him to promote their product for this year.
Golick and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Everybody wants to win the Great American Race.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
2 car lengths out in front, and the pack is steaming down behind him.
The dramatic conclusion of Daytona Speed Weeks.
Kurt Busch spins, and they're all piling in now.
Is the Great American Race.
It's on here at Daytona.
The 61st Daytona 500.
Pull your seatbelts down. It's getting ready to get really crazy.
Sunday at 1:30 on the Motor Racing Network.
The Daytona 500 on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Brought to you by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet, 3127 West Tennessee Street. Online at DaleEarnhardtJRChevy.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Receiver Antonio Brown officially has requested a trade from the Steelers. That news following a tweet today from Brown where he said farewell to the Steelers and their fans, adding that it's time to move forward. Brown has wanted a fresh start for quite some time, notes ESPN Steelers reporter Jeremy Fowler.
Brown has been unhappy. I've talked to several people in and around and close to Brown who say that they feel Brown's sick of being the scapegoat for the Steelers' problems and wants to show he can thrive elsewhere. He's had minimal contact with the team. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has been handling that contact.
Brown's been the subject of widespread trade speculation after failing to show up the day before the regular season finale. Texans expected to release receiver Demaryius Thomas. The 31-year-old suffered a season-ending torn Achilles in December. He's due a non-guaranteed $14 million salary in 2019. Adam Schefter and ESPN's Chris Mortensen reporting that Jeffrey Simmons, a projected first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, suffered a knee injury during training that is thought to be a torn ACL. NBA Celtics will be without All-Star guard Kyrie Irving tonight against the 76ers because of an injured knee. Coverage at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Boston's blown big leads in each of its last 2 games, both losses. Currently sitting 5th in the East, 1 game back of 4th place Philadelphia. Baseball. Jacob deGrom's representatives have set opening day as their deadline to complete a contract extension with the Mets, informing the team that deGrom will not negotiate during the season. His agency told the Mets the sides could possibly resume contract talks next offseason. deGrom is scheduled to become a free agent after the 2020 season. NHL Bruins leading scorer David Pastrnak will be out at least 2 weeks after undergoing a procedure on his injured thumb.
The Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Big store pricing with local service. Online at ctf.nu.
At Jay Cameron Show, what is this Maryland bleep? Unreal. Ben, the answer to that is the young man's home state. And I think it's probably, again, a compromise as to where he wanted to go, where his parents wanted him to go, where they could agree upon. You guys have done a good job. Thank you for sending me all the academic national rankings for 2019 public universities and how Maryland and Florida State are right there together in the 20s, and that except for Florida, Georgia, and Texas A&M, Florida State is substantially higher ranked academically than all other SEC universities, public universities. That's great. This wasn't to me about that. That's maybe what their parents were saying, his parents were saying, Nick Cross's parents were saying.
Yeah, it seemed just like anybody but FSU.
Yeah, I mean that's wasn't based in reality. Jimmy writes at Jay Cameron Show at _Tom Lang. What's with the pics of all the bongs on your T-shirt today, man? These are not bongs. Sorry, that's what he's talking about.
For you radio folk, it looks like coffee containers and
correct.
pitchers.
Yeah,
and,
yes, that is correct.
What's that second one
coffee
from?
Apparatus.
What's the second one from your right arm? Is that doesn't look like? Oh, that's an old school coffee machine.
Yeah.
That's like a Mr. Coffee.
Yeah, that's like
It kind of looks like a pitcher, though, also.
Many different coffee apparatus, as I said. You got a cold drip maker in there. You've got the whatever that Franck is, and maybe a Yama glass, Tom.
Yama glass?
There's a lot of you know how snooty wine people can be.
Shalom, brother.
You know how snooty wine people can be, right?
Yeah.
Same is true of coffee.
And craft beer experts.
I like all three groups of people.
Music snobs.
That's correct. Wonderfully intelligent, insightful, conversationalist. Correct. I got you. But there are a myriad of ways, whether you want the manual pour-over design or the atomic drip machine or the espresso or whatever it might be, right? Automatic, not atomic. The atomic, that's an amazing, yeah. But there's stovetop coffee makers, Tom. There's all kinds of, I've looked into them, believe me. I've seen, now I only have a normal, regular-ass coffee drip. That's what I have.
Jamie has one that looks like a smoking device because it's like it's got the filter in the top and it's just this big glass container.
Right.
And then she uses the kettle that's you plug into the wall and then you heat up instead of using the stovetop with a very thin spigot.
Anything that saturates the grounds, Tom. That's all
right.
that matters.
And she just like drips it around and around. It's a very interesting process that I'm glad I don't need coffee to start my day.
Well, it gets to a point where it's less about need, more about taste. I don't need coffee to start my day.
You don't get headaches if you don't have your coffee in the morning? A lot of people do.
Tons of people do. They get their caffeine another way, but typically they'll get their caffeine mixed with all kinds of sugar and nonsense that's not natural. So they'll drink it through soda, which is, I do certainly not condone that. Might as well use the natural bean.
Here comes the snobbery.
Yeah, well, it's just healthier, period. But better for you. That's all there is to it. That's inarguable. But hey, do what you got to do, people. You brought it up, not me. I'm answering a damn question.
Enjoy your Diet Pepsi.
Jim writes, I don't have Diet Pepsi. That's not what Jimmy wrote. Whatever, man. That middle one looks mighty suspect. Puff, puff, brother.
It does. Looks more like either like a microscope or one of those. Yeah.
Oh, man. I like that he wrote puff, puff, brother.
It kind of looks like a microscope.
Well, it's many different ways.
When'd you get that shirt? That one's new.
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the rotation now.
It's in the rotation. I thought. Listen, I like to wear the kinds of shirts that represent things that I like, support, utilize, appreciate, engage in. Coffee drinking, Tom.
So tie-dye shirts. You know,
imagine
mostly.
if I came in here. That would have been funny. I forget that we're on camera until I see a tweet like that. Imagine if I came in here with a shirt with a big-ass bong on it. I have a shirt with a bong on it.
You don't say.
I do, but I didn't know it. I didn't know the bong. This is a true story. You want to hear a funny story? No, this is a funny story.
Okay.
This is true. It's true. It's a shirt. It's from a Ryan Adams concert that I went to down in Miami. And on the back, there's a pinball machine and a bong, things that he likes.
Right. Oh, he loves arcade games.
Right.
Yes.
So he has a pinball machine, and I bought the shirt because it had the tour the year I went. And on the front, it just says Ryan Adams. I think it says Ryan Adams and the Cardinals, whatever it was, right? I bought the shirt and didn't know there was a bong on the back.
It can get high for you.
Yeah.
And I wore it right after I had been down at that show to pick up my children from their school.
It can get high for you.
Yeah.
And walked in, and I was getting all these strange looks. And I was like, it's a concert. It was bothering me that, because this was back some time ago. This is several years ago. And we're talking about first grade. You know,
sure, yeah.
You walk in. And,
come on, kids.
And people.
Going to Taco Bell. What do you say?
But you walk in, and people are like, good Lord, Dad.
It can get high for you.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and, I kind of thought it was strange. There were a lot of different looks I was getting. And then later on, I got home that night and was getting ready to take a shower. I was taking off my clothes. And as I looked at the shirt again, and I was going to throw it in the dirt, and I saw the bong.
It can get high for you.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, well, that explains it. Some of them thought it was suspect that I arrived at school with a shirt.
I got sent to the principal's office once. I've told this story before, in 4th grade, for wearing the Bud Ice Penguin shirt to a dress down day. Oh, I mean, it's
that Penguin was the best.
That doobie-doo, man.
Doobie-doo, right. It was scary.
Just big Bud Ice and had a big can on the back of Bud Ice.
Clark got sent home for wearing his Marley shirt. My kids love Bob Marley, and they both have. I got Clark a Marley shirt. I got Bryce a Marley shirt. Both are different shirts, and apparently Clark's was inappropriate because Bob is playing soccer and he's not wearing a shirt. And the school took issue. Not Roberts, but another school back when he was at another place before,
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't like it because it had a guy with his shirt off. I went, it's ridiculous.
A guy with his shirt off.
Yeah, they didn't like that he was it's Marley playing soccer with his shirt off. They took issue that it was a man with his shirt off.
I heard you the description.
Yeah.
Really? That's what does it for you, huh?
Oh, believe me. I said, you'll wear that shirt again next week. I'll buy you 2 more with a bigger picture. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men in a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Or save up to $5,600 on in-stock vehicles. The all-new 2019 Ram 1500 is Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and it's breaking all kinds of records. We have over 80 Ram 1500s in stock with up to $11,000 off MSRP. You can't go wrong. Motor Trend Truck of the Year and up to $11,000 off MSRP. It's the deal of the year. There's only one place to go. Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat on the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle. We're right on the corner and always right on the price. Or visit us on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. Dealer retains all rebates and incentives plus tax, tag, and dealer fee.
What's up, Eddie?
What's up, Jeff?
You know, buddy, that I like archaeology, right?
Yeah. I'm quite an anarchist myself.
Right. Well, anyhow, do you know what they find the world over when they excavate? You know the item they find the most of?
I don't know, rocks?
Freaking bowls.
Bowls?
Bowls everywhere. In Rome proper, right? Bowls upon bowls upon bowls.
That's very interesting.
What's the high school over in Jacksonville, the one with all the good football players?
Bowls?
Right.
What are you getting at here, Jeff?
Mo used what to cut his hair?
I don't know, Jeff. What is a bowl?
Boom. A bowl indeed.
Hey, that gives me an idea.
Really?
We should have bowls here at Gordo's. We can do all kinds of bowls. We can do chicken bowls, fish bowls. We can do steak bowls, pork bowls, veggie bowls. Brilliant. I'm a genius. Jeff? Hey, Jeff.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Valentine's Day is right around the corner. The question is, what gift are you getting for the one you love? We get it. It's not easy. Love is a dangerous game. Thankfully, though, guaranteed wins exist at Hellsberg Diamonds. Right now, save $400 on the half-carat total weight diamond heart pendant, only $299.99. This Thursday, February 14th, show Cupid who's boss. Be the hero on Valentine's Day and give a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds.
Everybody wants to win the Great American Race.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
2 car lengths out in front, and the pack is steaming down behind him.
The dramatic conclusion of Daytona Speed Weeks.
Kurt Busch spins, and they're all piling in now.
Is the Great American Race.
It's on here at Daytona.
The 61st Daytona 500.
Pull your seatbelts down. It's getting ready to get really crazy.
Sunday at 1:30 on the Motor Racing Network.
The Daytona 500 on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Brought to you by Tasty Pastry Bakery of Tallahassee. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
They're shaking. Try my mind won't get me. Tell me I'm wasted.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for being with us. You like third base or first base line? All themes of baseball this week for me. Third or first base line?
If I had to choose one? Is it what, for seats?
Yeah, of course.
Third baseline.
I think that's right.
You want to see the third base coach, stop sign, go sign. You want to see guys go first to home. The way they round the bases. I don't know. There's more action to it. First baseline, you're watching a lot of walks. Whoop-de-doo. Take off the batting gloves, give it to your first base coach, and then he has the equipment guy come out. Who cares about that stuff?
I wonder, in the next 5 years, it'll be very, very interesting what Florida State's stadium renovations end up looking like. They got to do something. Hauser is in dire need of help. The oddity about Dick Hauser Stadium is it's a great stadium. It's got a lot of charm to it. One of the things I love taking people over to that part of campus and to that stadium because it does have a lot of charm. The aesthetics to that place are great. It's just that you find out that when you kind of walk around underneath and you look in certain places,
oh yeah,
it's antiquated.
If you were an appraiser, you go,
ooh, right,
$10,000 there. There's $20,000 there.
Well, yeah. It's like anybody who owns a house, and I do, and it angers me sometimes. I understand that you build equity, and there are a lot of great things about home ownership, but man, a lot of times I just wish my house would burn down. Because, damn it, man.
Come on, Pookie.
There's something that needs to be fixed at all times when you own a house. It's ridiculous. And if it's not being fixed, it has to be upgraded or has to be maintained. And that's always costing you an arm and a leg all the time. You're like, oh, look at that. You see a little crack in something. You're like, oh, great. What's that going to run me? And I can't fix a damn thing ever. So, I'm paying somebody to do it. But the point would be.
Yeah, Millar and Tall Boys.
Or an actual, like my guy Ben, somebody like that coming over. Hey, man, need you to do this. And then I drive away thinking, even though I know he's going to do a great job, if I were a better man, I'd know how to do that myself, but I don't. And half the battle's knowing what you don't know, so just pay somebody to do it right so you don't screw it up. I got it.
But you can give them advice on good coffee.
Oh, I could do that all day long, and then some.
It's a good skill. It's an equal trade.
It's not an equal trade at all.
Dollar for dollar.
But I will say that, again, Hauser, if you really look at Hauser, when you're walking around there, both in the bowels of the stadium, but even through the main concourse, you're like, ooh, there's some things that could be done here. This is looking shoddy. And I'm just curious. Next 5 years, we're on a money restriction right now. It's not like Florida State's spending money on a damn thing. So you're kind of stuck here.
You hope you make some more money off of this season being Mike Martin's last. And at that point, you can parlay some of those earnings back into the program. I don't know. How does it work, though? Let's just say you make X amount of dollars more in ticket sales for Florida State. For argument's sake, let's just say they made $50,000 more this season.
No.
Can they take that $50,000 and keep it and use it to what they want?
No, really, everything trickles from football.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
You need football to be better. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's so funny. You think we're rooting for Willie to get it together? Trust me. Every other coach in the athletic department is rooting for Willie to get it together because Florida State football is failing all the other programs. Jimbo was failing the other programs and overspending to do it. And Willie has continued the tradition of Jimbo's failures and failed us again.
Hey, man, at least we got that golf course built before this.
It's not completely built yet. We're not out of the woods.
Well, they're doing videos with Jack Nicklaus.
We got the money. Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, hey, listen, Trey Jones has made it happen. That's what he does, makes things happen. That's a good thing. But it is going to be great over there.
Let it open like the fall?
Well, every time it rains, they lose 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, so when
the summer's going to be bad.
You know what makes me laugh is I wake up, but it doesn't make me laugh, Trey, if you're listening. I crack up internally. I don't do it where he can see it. But if I wake up and I see the rain, I go, oh, somebody's driving to work pissed. Another 3 days. Damn it.
So it's going to be delayed by about a year.
I know nothing about construction or the building of golf courses.
I don't know anything about golf clubs, grips, balls, golf shafts.
Golf in general.
I'm going to miss those commercials. You think they still stick around even after he retires?
I hope so. But what I would tell you is that I got to imagine that is infinitely frustrating if you're in charge of something like that and then the rain. I mean, the rain is, there's nothing you can do about the rain. We need rain. It's a good thing. But every time, if you're a builder, or in this case, you're in charge of rebuilding an entire golf course, every time you see that, what is that? Anybody feel a drop?
Well, we've had foggy mornings where it's as good as rain. Like this morning, I think the sky was it was raining from about eye level.
Is that akin to a day of rain? I don't know.
I wonder.
I don't know how it works. I know that would drive me nuts. Every day you'd be like, I wished I lived in a desert. Then we would finish this project. We'd be ahead of schedule.
Toot sweet.
We'd be rolling. All I know is that anytime something's being built, unless you don't frequent the area, like if you go past something every day, like that damn movie theater they built out by the Costco, that took years. Mm-hmm. I swear every time I drive by, I'm like, they're still building this thing? What are we doing here?
Well, and I've heard we've been getting a Dave & Buster's for about 15 years now. Are they building it? They losing their day, 5 days with every day of rain?
They either build another burger joint or a stupid mattress place. And nothing against you mattress places.
Unless you want to spend here.
You can spend money with us, that'd be great. But the truth is, I mean, good God, man.
Because then you're a smart mattress place.
I just can't. I'm not buying it. I don't buy the mattress thing. I don't buy it. There's no way it can
Maybe
be that.
somebody could convince you.
Perhaps. I need a new bed. What is the profit margin? It's got to. I mean, what are they doing with beds? 800%?
Well, I don't know. How
do you stay open?
Well, think about how many
selling mattresses.
Think about how many cars are on a lot, but they clear them.
Yeah, but if you sell 100-something cars in a month, let's say, I can see how that'd be profitable.
But you probably need a mattress, right?
My God, mattresses.
Every 2 or 3 years is what you're supposed to do? I don't know what
nobody
the rule
does.
is.
Who the hell does that?
Nobody I don't know.
That. No.
The bourgeois?
I've had a mattress for 11 years. I can't wait to throw that sucker out. I can't wait. I'm going to burn it. I'm angry at it. It's sunken down.
Like
I wake up sore every day. It's not greasy.
Body
it's
grease?
No, it's sunk. It's not body grease. It's just sunken down. It's sunken down. And I get in it. I'm comfortable for 5 minutes, and I'm like, damn it, my hip. No, I think, and we got sold a bag of goods. We were so excited. We'd moved into this house, and then we were all out buying furniture. I was spending thousands of dollars, Toms, on all the stuff that we needed for the house, and we got that bed. I'm like, oh, this bed's going to be awesome.
No money down.
Yeah, and then that bed sucked.
At least your TV still works in your bedroom.
Oh, you bastard. That kid who fixed my television in the bedroom, and it will not die, and I'd like to kick a hole in it. It's your old television, Eric Llewellyn. I've still got that one. Anyhow, that one that will not die, that was fixed the one time with the color board or whatever it was, that kid literally went off to Harvard. That's a true story. And I can see how. Damn genius. Can't break that TV if you wanted to.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
We're off over the weekend in the UK, at least at the country's horse racing tracks. An outbreak of equine flu means the sport remains shut down. Governing body, the British Horse Racing Authority, says there will be no resumption until Wednesday at the earliest, while tests are conducted on thoroughbreds across the country. And that is a Bloomberg Business of Sports report. I'm Michael Barr.
Attention everyone. I have a President's Day pro tip. You need to go to Dell.com/business deals right now because Dell's President's Day sale is live as we speak. And it's monumental. Get deals on Dell business computers with 8th gen Intel Core processors and business tech, plus doorbusters up to 45% off. Call 877-BUY-DELL now to talk to Dell's small business technology advisors and get personalized help finding the best tech at President's Day prices. Free shipping included. Again, call 877-BUY-DELL.
Grainger stands for safety, and they know what safety stands for. S, safety. A, all about safety. F, feeling good about safety. E, extreme safety. T, talking about safety. Y, you guessed it, safety. First aid kits, eye wash stations, fire protection, you name it. For over 90 years, they've been helping to keep facilities safe and people safer. When it comes to safety, Grainger's got your BACK. Call or click Grainger.com to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine? Change your oil every 3 months or 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. You know that sticker on your windshield? Don't look at it now. Wait until the next red light. Okay, check the number on your sticker. Then check your odometer. Is it time? There are 19 Tallahassee area Super Lube locations, which means there's one close to you right now. No appointments, and you're in and out in no time. You can do this today. Super Lube, for better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine.
How I love to Super Lube my car. Yes, sir.
Enterprises, roofing and construction services. TSparkConstruction.com.
Recently, I've seen a lot of commercials from attorneys and public adjusters trying to cash in on the hurricane damages to your home or business. Using these individuals could result in a reduction in your insurance claim reimbursement. As a licensed roofing and general contractor, we know how to navigate insurance claims so that you don't have to share your reimbursement with an attorney or a public adjuster. If you have questions, give us a call. Our advice is free. Turning your claim over to an attorney or a public adjuster is not.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. TSparkConstruction.com.
Where can you find North Florida's best barbecue, chef-inspired specials, and live music, all in a family-friendly atmosphere? The Red Shed off Highway 90 East and Crump Road. Locally owned, the Red Shed smokes up chicken, ribs, wings, pulled pork, and brisket like nobody's business. Order ahead of time for your next tailgate or party, and the Red Shed will have it ready when you arrive. Open Thursday through Sunday, live music on the weekends, kids eat free on Saturdays, and it's always BYOB at the Shed.
Hendrick.
Want to know what power feels like? Come get behind the wheel of an all-new, completely redesigned 2019 Silverado 1500 from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevy. So hurry in to shop our huge selection, over 100 in stock, at Tallahassee's Chevy Truck Headquarters, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevy on West Tennessee, or DaleJrChevy.com. Find new roads.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet, Tallahassee's hometown Chevy dealer.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Receiver Antonio Brown officially has requested a trade from the Steelers. That news following a tweet today from Brown where he said farewell to the Steelers and their fans, adding that it's time to move forward. Brown has wanted a fresh start for quite some time, notes ESPN Steelers reporter Jeremy Fowler.
Brown has been unhappy. I've talked to several people in and around and close to Brown who say that they feel Brown's sick of being the scapegoat for the Steelers' problems and wants to show he can thrive elsewhere. He's had minimal contact with the team. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has been handling that contact.
Brown's been the subject of widespread trade speculation after failing to show up the day before the regular season finale. Texans expected to release receiver Demaryius Thomas. The 31-year-old suffered a season-ending torn Achilles in December. He's due a non-guaranteed $14 million salary in 2019. Adam Schefter and ESPN's Chris Mortensen reporting that Jeffrey Simmons, a projected first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, suffered a knee injury during training that is thought to be a torn ACL. NBA Celtics will be without All-Star guard Kyrie Irving tonight against the 76ers because of an injured knee. Coverage at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Boston's blown big leads in each of its last 2 games, both losses. Currently sitting 5th in the East, 1 game back of 4th place Philadelphia. Baseball. Jacob deGrom's representatives have set opening day as their deadline to complete a contract extension with the Mets, informing the team that deGrom will not negotiate during the season. His agency told the Mets the sides could possibly resume contract talks next offseason. deGrom is scheduled to become a free agent after the 2020 season. NHL, Bruins leading scorer David Pastrnak will be out at least 2 weeks after undergoing a procedure on his injured thumb.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello, be well. I hope you are. Thanks for tuning to us. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. I didn't realize it that John Dorsey, the GM there of Cleveland, was also the GM of the Chiefs when they took Tyreek Hill. So what did we learn here, Tom? I think we learned that there's no doubt that, John Dorsey loves talented football players who beat the hell out of women.
Yeah, he was there for Kareem Hunt in round 1 of his career as well.
My man is addicted to it. It's one thing to give a guy a chance or take a flyer, but when you're the same guy that brought in Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt and then gave Kareem Hunt another opportunity, you love a guy that'll beat a woman. You can't wait to sign him. You're all too eager.
You can get him for pennies on the dollar. It's like signing a guy who's coming off an ACL. Take a risk.
All right, look at that. What say you? He's fast, can catch, diversified set of skills. Don't tell me he beats women too. Oh my God, we got us one, boys. That's
sounds about right, sadly enough.
It does sound about right. And it's on video. Do you have it?
Oh, man.
That's him. That's the GM of the Cleveland Browns. He loves a dude that'll beat a woman.
We've polled Cleveland Browns fans, would you sell your soul and morality in order to win around here? And we received 96% yes. And so, therefore, we've signed Kareem Hunt.
I bet you Dorsey, in his day, would have sat down and enjoyed a cold one with John Wayne. Might have.
Hey, look, it's Sean Connery. Come on down.
Oh, guys, it's so good to be around like-minded folk. If only all three of us could be slapping the hell out of a woman right now, things would be even better. I promise you, if I get into a position of power, I'll hire.
I'd like a fresh one and another beverage, please.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't know that. I don't know why I didn't realize that he was the same guy. But as is expected, the league is taking a bit of a punch, if you will, for this latest.
Yeah, don't kick them while they're down, man.
But if you're Dorsey, do it and then do it again, and I'll sign you tomorrow.
Well, the NFL still has yet to suspend him and levy the punishment, which will be considerable. But, he's obviously taking a chance. Is Dorsey that come late November or early December, here you go. Kareem Hunt, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, this is an easy one, right? Even if they suspend him for 8 to 10 games, it's okay because, he's not even out of his rookie deal yet. You've got a good situation on your hands. if you're only thinking about football and you're not thinking about anything else. The league, has to wrestle with these things all the time. And I said it yesterday on the show when we were talking about this, that one of the hard things is, of course, if the guy is not charged with a crime, does he have a right to work? Well, of course he has a right to work. You don't have to sign him, but he has a right to work. And the league then at that point is probably feeling frustrated because it's a lot easier to say, well, he was charged with a crime, you can't sign him. It's much easier for them to do until this is resolved in the courts. But if he's not, doesn't matter that we were looking at the video. We're looking at the video. We're seeing this video. We know he did it because there it is. I don't care that he wasn't charged. There it is. But he's not charged with a crime. A, how's that possible? But B, at that point, the league's kind of like, damn.
Honestly, the Kareem Hunt situation happened so fast and he was jettisoned from the Chiefs organization so quickly that I really never thought to look into the particulars of the situation. But now that he's re-signed so quickly as well, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's probably worth looking into the particulars. Yeah. I know what I saw in the video, but I don't know the nature of why they didn't charge or why you know what I mean? I don't get how the investigation
I don't think the video came out till a lot later. So at the
would
time,
make sense.
Yeah, so at the time they declined because the video didn't come out. Like they didn't have the video until many,
like when it was leaked that there was tape of it, then the Chiefs let him go seemingly hours later. It didn't take very long for them to take action.
The Chiefs did the right thing immediately.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, hey, what?" They probably, I guess my guess is I would assume they saw the tape and went, "Okay, well, that's all we need. We've seen the tape. Have a good day."
Tyreek, what do you think? Yeah, can't have that. We need to let him go. We need to let him go.
You would have been happy. I don't remember where I saw it, but I think it was yesterday. Somebody on either SportsCenter or some sports show that as I was flipping around brought up the selective outrage that occurs for these kinds of incidents. And the person challenged that and said, well, what do you mean? I mean, I think that most people were outraged and most people publicly decried this situation. He's like, well, Tyreek Hill's on the Kansas City Chiefs, and that guy did a lot worse in college. Go look it up. And they were having a debate on the set. I don't know if it's NFL Network where I was, but I was flipping around. And he was saying, yeah, that guy's cheered every weekend. And so here's the thing. I mean, the Chiefs had to do what they did. That there was video of this. I mean, this takes seconds. This wasn't a he said she said. There was video.
Yeah, it's an impossible situation to be in. If you're talking about league wide, you can make a decision for your organization, but what do you do as a league in that moment? There's nothing you can do. I mean, if a guy's good enough, somebody's going to sign him. It's going to happen.
Well, I think
they're not
the league,
suspended. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that is the hard part because if he's not charged, that's where we get back to the not being charged with a crime thing. If you're not charged with a crime, obviously you've got a right to work. You're not being charged with anything. But then, okay, that's fine. There's that standard, but we have a video of you doing it. And I can't be concerned with whether or not you were charged. I know you did it because I'm looking at it. It's not a question whether you did it. So at that point, the league could say, if they wanted to, under no circumstances will we employ somebody who we have evidence of, charged or not, as having committed violence against a child.
Well, that's what the commissioner has essentially said and done in the past is, you've seen the uneven way he's doled out particular sentences for conduct unbecoming to the league without any hard evidence.
Yeah, but this would be hard evidence, and I would say that if you have hard evidence, in that case, you can just make it a standard.
For how long? Life?
No.
I mean, if he's going to give him 2 months plus worth of a suspension.
Oh, I would think you could give him a lot longer than that if you have video evidence.
It's essentially been a year at that point.
Right. Upon finding the video, I suppose.
Yeah.
Upon seeing it, at that point,
well,
you could
the moment
say,
he was let go, I mean, it was late in the regular season, right? So
you could say you are suspended for a year.
That's essentially what it will be with time
once
served.
Once they dole out the punishment.
Once they dole out his 10 games or whatever he's going to get for this upcoming football season because of the time that he was not employed after the Chiefs let him go. So you're looking at about 16 games worth, roughly. I mean, I might be off by a game or two, but that's essentially what it is.
Wonder how bold they'd be willing to be. Because I don't know. This isn't real easy.
Because statute of limitations.
Easy.
Like Tyreek Hill, that happened in college. So now what? You're going to go back and find somebody who's a senior in high school, commits a heinous act, but has been,
No, this isn't that easy. It seems easy on the surface. And listen, I get it. We're all opposed to that kind of violence. Everybody is. Any reasonable well-meaning human being understands that that's unacceptable. But at the same time, people have a right to work. And I'm not saying I want them employed or that I want to be associated with them in my workplace, but somebody else has a right to hire them, and they do have a right to work. And if you don't allow for that, then what's going to happen? Well, that person's going to have to turn to what? Crime. I mean, so you're in a really precarious position. The league can say we have a zero-tolerance policy for our members, our workforce, in which there is 100% certainty that they engaged in this behavior, that they engaged in domestic violence or assault on a woman or a child, or however you want to say it, right? Whatever the rules are that you do want to put in place. Zero tolerance. Can't happen. Can't. You can work, but you can't work.
Well, you have to collectively bargain that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. It's not that easy.
I mean, the commissioner could unilaterally do it right now if he wanted to, because that's the term of the CBA.
It's also the power. Yeah, it's the power.
So if he wanted to score brownie points, your PR agent, you could say, yes, this is your new policy, and you're releasing that. But the problem is, I'm sure 32 people would stop him. At least a portion of them would stop him and say, let's not be so cut and dry here, because if there's an opening for, maybe the other side of the story, then maybe we could use that as leverage to give ourselves a better chance at a playoff run, because that's what their actions are saying as organizations.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jerry Jones will sign you. The Cleveland Browns will sign you. Kansas City will sign you.
Not if it were forbidden to do so across the board. Everybody would know that nobody has
you'd have to
access
put it to an owner
player.
vote at that point.
Yeah, but I'm saying everybody would know, okay, I can't sign it, but you're not going to get a leg up because you would.
Yeah.
We've made it across the board. They can't work.
Probably have a class action suit coming your way about right to work. I don't know. I'm sure the lawyers have vetted this out.
Well, no, I don't have yeah, but I don't. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean,
right to work versus a collective bargaining agreement.
Right. But also, you don't have to. Like, if somebody walked through this door and they had unbelievable qualifications to sell radio, and then you found out that in their past they had been convicted of.
But if they could, if that player, listen, I'm arguing like I'm a lawyer and I don't have a legal background. But what if the player could bring something to the forum like, well, this is the only place I can go work with this particular skill set. I mean, what other big leagues are there?
AAF, CFL.
Yeah, right.
You've got plenty of leagues to go work in. You just can't work here. Well, I think what you would do, you wouldn't have it be so cut and dry. You're right. I think what you would say is if we, in this case, there's video evidence. So you would just say, no, we know you did it, like the Ray Rice situation where you have the video. We know you did it. I don't care what the courts did. We know you did it. You can't. You're suspended for 2 years. This is how serious we take this kind of violence. We've decided we don't want it in our league.
The commissioner could do something like that and grandstand on an individual basis, but I think you'd probably have to get with the Players Association.
No, without question.
Because if you have then a collective bargaining agreement with both sides agreeing to it, then an individual would not have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, I wondered about it because, yesterday we talked about this, and I'm revisiting it now just because it was understandably the topic surrounding that league, besides Antonio Brown thinking the Steelers and deciding that he's going to take it on down the road. That's just whatever. That's just a guy disgruntled. But then this other thing for a league that already has a black eye surrounding this issue because its commissioner had a tape and chose to cover it up for whatever reason. I never understood that. That made no sense to deny you had seen the tape. Why? It wasn't even like he was still a good player. It wasn't like you were getting something out of that. But anyhow, so they've constantly been on the wrong side of this issue, and if they wanted to take a stand, they could, and it's an easy one to take because it's low-hanging fruit. Everybody knows you can't hit women. Everybody knows you can't beat children. Everybody knows you can't – all these obvious things, right? It's easy for everybody to stand up and say, yeah, I'm against that. Of course you are because you're a well-adjusted, sentient human being. You get it. You know that that's not what we do. It's unless you're, of course, our favorite running back.
What, if you're a Washington fan? And Adrian Peterson's part of you? Yeah. I've graduated to a belt. Next year it's going to be God knows what.
Anyhow.
A barbed whip.
They've been constantly on the wrong side, so I thought, well, what strong stance could they take for evidence that's this overwhelming?
Well, I mean, he's going to hit him with what amounts to a suspension that lasts for a calendar year.
No, it's a 10-game suspension. I know the Chiefs did what they did, but they did that independent of the commissioner's office.
The commissioner might have stepped in early there. I mean, if
Maybe,
they saw the
but
tape,
we don't know that. But what I'm saying is that once they announce it, they will say, okay, you get 10 games, you get 12 games. Yeah. But it's different across the board is the problem. They never have a set of strict rules that they adhere to. It's
well,
you get
Zeke
3
got
games,
6
you
games,
get 12,
and
you get 6.
Zeke got 6, and the league, or at least the league investigator advised no penalty whatsoever. I think they're graduating these. I think they are making them stiffer as time goes along. I actually think they might deserve a little bit of credit here when there's no win. Nobody wins.
Nobody's going to win this situation.
You can never be too harsh for the people who are human beings. And then when it comes to looking at precedent, I mean, sometimes the Players Association would say that's way too much. 10 games? What are we talking about here? Look at this situation. Look at the Jameis situation. Look at this other situation.
But at least we know where the Browns GM, Mr. Dorsey, stands. He does not care about your societal standards, the law, or anything else. Women, for that matter. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
This year's JCS Opening Day Special is brought to you by the Deck Pizza Pub in downtown Tallahassee. From the folks who brought you Metro Deli, the Deck Pizza Pub is Tallahassee's home for the best pizza and craft cocktails in town. Online at deckpizzapub.com.
At Hardee's, we grew up. We stopped sleeping with our handmade nightlights and pacifiers, but there was one childhood classic we couldn't kick, the grilled cheese. So we made our grilled cheese grow up into a handsome bacon thick burger. Freshly toasted sourdough, melted Swiss, and American cheese with crispy applewood smoked bacon on 100% Black Angus beef. The grilled cheese bacon thick burger. Only available for a limited time because it's so grown up and it's very busy and has very little work-life balance.
Hardee's because it tastes better.
Available now for a limited time at participating Hardee's restaurants.
After 40 years as Florida State Baseball's head coach, Mike Martin Sr. is making this his final season. Join all of us here at Garnet and Gold as we celebrate the farewell tour for the winningest coach in college baseball history with limited edition commemorative baseballs, t-shirts, and caps in stock right now. And while you're here, check out Nike's hot new line of FSU baseball jerseys, tees, and ball caps. Garnet and Gold with 3 locations, West Pensacola Street, Collard, and Governor Square Boulevard. If you're a Seminole, we're your store. Shop local and go Noles.
The Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, who's celebrating their 95th year in business this year, would like to recognize their newest members.
Hi, I'm Corey Melton, the Vice President of Membership, and I'm proud on behalf of the Chamber to welcome our newest members from January. New York Life, Barlow Business Services, Tiny Docks Initiative, Lighthouse Health Plan, Prime South Properties, David McLeod, Bonefish Grill, Shred It Tallahassee, Meridian Place Apartments, AAA Tree Experts, St. Joe Company, Brennan Financial Services, 27 Auto Sales of Leon, Comfort Inn and Suites, Lund Chiropractic, Iconic Group, Studio B, a salon, VitaCan, Southern Standard Construction, Tallahassee Auto Auction, The Moon, Honeybee Concepts, Movement Mortgage, and Image Nail Spa and Salon.
For information on how your business can be a part of the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, contact Corey Melton at 850-521-3104.
Hendrick.
Are you ready to rule the open road? Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet has just what you need. Right now, get huge savings on the 2018 Silverado 1500 during the Silverado Sell Down Sales Event. So hurry in to shop our huge Silverado selection at Tallahassee's Chevy Truck Headquarters. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevy on West Tennessee or DaleJr.Chevy.com. Find new roads.
Valentine's Day is right around the corner. The question is, what gift are you getting for the one you love? We get it. It's not easy. Love is a dangerous game. Thankfully, though, guaranteed wins exist at Hellsberg Diamonds. Right now, save $400 on the half-carat total weight diamond heart pendant, only $299.99. This Thursday, February 14th, show Cupid who's boss. Be the hero on Valentine's Day and give a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Here is a quote from Magic Johnson, and this is the quote I said Roy would love. It is hard to use this many words and not say anything. Are you ready?
Yep.
We knew that basically at the end of the day what happened, and we knew that when we first started in terms of what happened. But hey, it is what it is.
Wow.
Thank you. That is nothing. That is word salad saying nothing.
That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard.
What if it isn't what it is?
That's not one of the possibilities.
What if it isn't what it is, but it was what it was?
Oh, my God.
Oh, dear God.
Can you imagine?
Can't imagine. I haven't been able to move off the position of it can be something other than it is what it is. There's no movement from that. I've always considered you have shaken my core beliefs. Everything I believe in. Also, I said all of that and people called me racist.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
And as much as I hate to admit it, did you watch the close last night? Virginia gets it done on the road and trails a big portion of that second half, and then it's as if the moment they recognize the suffocation must begin. It does. And it's weird to see a team as athletic as North Carolina, as talented as that, have no answer for long stretches at a time. I hate the way Virginia plays, but they're really good at it.
I didn't catch it. I saw that Virginia was up at the half, so I guess North Carolina came out and ran a little bit in the second half.
They did. And then from there, you kind of felt like they were going to win the game. And then there's a stretch of about 4 minutes that flips the game on its head. And, we witnessed it when we played Virginia, and we've seen it too many times before. I'm not talking about this year's game on the road. We really never much of a fight in that game. But the game here a year ago, where we played so hard and so well for a lot of that game, and then the last 10 minutes of the game couldn't hit a basket. And Virginia did a number on North Carolina last night in a very similar vein. And as we pay closer attention to exactly what are we and what place could we finish in the conference, I just can't. To me, I can't heap enough praise on Tony Bennett's crew for going on the road at North Carolina and getting that win. That place was raucous. That's we're going to see how we handle it, but.
Well, also in a situation where they lay a bit of an egg on Saturday, get away with it, you think you're going to get a fully motivated North Carolina team. And that matters a lot in college, but it matters more for North Carolina than most. If you get Carolina who tries, they're very tough to beat, but every once in a while they can shock you. And then tonight, I think, is Louisville-Duke. Is that right?
Tonight is Louisville-Duke. It's at 9 o'clock tip, a great game. And the other game, the early game, is unfortunately Pitt and Boston College. But, yeah, we've said all week, this is a great week for ACC basketball. It began with Virginia, North Carolina last night. Duke and Louisville tonight at 9 o'clock at Louisville. Very interested to see. Duke is hitting their stride defensively. When you watch them right now, everything comes from the defensive effort, and they're so athletic and long. They get in the passing lanes, and it leads to a dunk almost every time. But the point would be, how does Louisville bounce back at home? 9 o'clock tip should be crazy, should be a lot of fun in terms of the crowd.
I like Louisville
bounce back.
There. Yeah. Well, they can hit threes. I mean, Duke doesn't exactly do that all that well. Now, they might go on the road and do like they did to us. But I like Louisville in that situation to bounce back, right? Because Duke's coming off a huge win themselves. So
they are.
Maybe they're relaxing a little bit as young, inexperienced players who just got a marquee win on the road, whereas Louisville's pissed back at home. Raucous student section. There you go.
But let's root for Duke. Rare to say it.
That's true.
Let's go ahead and notch another loss in the Louisville column there.
Bring it on home.
And then tomorrow we get Syracuse at NC State. And like I said, you've had interesting games all week long. Hell, this weekend, Clemson at Louisville.
With as red hot as Clemson is, yeah.
Yeah, could be good. Could be good. Of course, us tomorrow against Wake. And better vibe today, Tom. That should make you feel better. I began the show yesterday saying that I project a problem for tomorrow. I'm going to tell you now that I came into this morning, fresh cup of coffee, good breakfast of a few eggs, and I contemplated that game again, and I went, little bit better feel for this one. I'm all of a sudden thinking not going to be so arduous. Won't be easy. Won't be as easy as the records suggested should be. And the number is 15. You give 15?
No, I would not give 15.
Yeah,
because what if it's a whistle fest? Then we're playing the free throw game. Referees can keep a game within 15 easily in college basketball.
Oh, they do it on the regular, buddy. I just was kind of curious. I'm going through these games now, and
that's got nothing to do with our effort. You can just start with the refs right there, and then you got to bet on whether or not we'll be ready to go.
I will be most interested, and we'll have a chance to talk about this tomorrow, but I will be most interested in, do we keep our foot on the gas? Are we in that place right now where we've kind of graduated to understanding what we could be, how good we can be, how good we are? It's a balancing act because you'd like to rest your starters, but the only way you can rest your starters is to get a big lead and to dominate this Wake team the way that we should dominate the Wake team. If you do that, good news for, again, all those that really need this rest, whether that be even a Kabengele, who they're playing a lot of minutes now. You're going to want him down the stretch of ACC play and obviously into the postseason to be fresh. And so I wonder how many minutes you can play him, how many minutes you're going to continue to play Terrence Mann, and for that matter, Trent Forrest.
Yeah, and then you've got a tough physical matchup Saturday on the road. If Georgia Tech is still invested in the season at all.
Let's hope not.
Which, I mean, they may be, though, because you've got 16 or 19 next to your name coming up there. You could see where that game is 58-54, something along those lines.
Boy, Georgia Tech has fallen on hard times, though, Tom. I wonder. I mean, they're 11-13, 3-8 in the ACC. Mm-hmm. For all the ways in which they uglify a game, they're not winning many of them.
Well, and you may have robbed their enthusiasm because they played us just how they wanted to here in our building, especially in that second half, and we still beat them. Because we played defense even harder than they did in that game.
We did and had to. You're right. Had to earn it that way.
But I mean, like, if you can play your style, right, and you still lose, then that team comes back to your barn a couple weeks later, you're like, man, that's, I don't know.
Well, they're annoying. They're annoying in the same way Virginia is. Virginia's just more skilled and better shooting, and they knock down shots. But Tech is 3-8, 11-13 overall. They've lost 5 straight. Let's hope that continues. You lose 6 straight by the time we roll into town, Big River. And feel sorry for yourself a little bit. Easy breezy. Let Florida State get to 8-4. I'll take that all day.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
There ain't no heating and air conditioning, keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
You can now quickly and easily schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. This winter, take advantage of great rebates and 0% financing for 36 months. Learn more online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 057652.
There ain't no heating and air conditioning.
Hi, this is Gene Deckeroff for Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. 2019 is here, and we've got to get rid of all the remaining 2018s. And the only way to do that is to offer employee pricing on over 50 Jeep Wranglers in stock. We've never been able to offer such unbelievable prices on Jeep Wranglers, and with over 50 in stock, they all must go. Buy one for as low as $29,900 or save up to $5,600 on in-stock vehicles. The all-new 2019 Ram 1500 is Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and it's breaking all kinds of records. We have over 80 Ram 1500s in stock with up to $11,000 off MSRP. You can't go wrong. Motor Trend Truck of the Year and up to $11,000 off MSRP. It's the deal of the year. There's only one place to go. Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat on the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle. We're right on the corner and always right on the price. Or visit us on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. Dealer retains all rebates and incentives plus tax, tag, and dealer fee.
Mardi Gras is March 5th, and Tasty Pastry Bakery is busy baking up their famous New Orleans king cakes just for you. This traditional cake is a coffee cake formed in an oval ring and decorated with brightly colored sugar, purple, green, and gold, to signify justice, faith, and wealth. Baked into each cake, a tiny plastic infant signifies Christ the King. When the cake is sliced, whoever gets the plastic infant in their piece of cake is named King for a day and is supposed to bring a king cake next year. Choose from an assortment of fillings: apple, cherry, blueberry, pineapple, raspberry, strawberry, or cream cheese. Get yours today. Tasty Pastry Bakery in the Market District on Market Street, 6:45 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Online at tastypastrybakery.com.
The good old-fashioned bakery. Remember Tasty Pastry.
Call 893-3752.
Some say Hulu is the bacon of TV. But think about it. Bacon is so incredibly good, everyone's eating everything without bacon forever. And Hulu? Well, with tons of shows and movies, exclusive originals like The Handmaid's Tale, plus live TV for sports, Hulu will ruin TV for you forever. Bacon. Hulu. Hulu with live TV plan required for live content. Restrictions apply.
Valentine's Day is right around the corner. The question is, what gift are you getting for the one you love? We get it. It's not easy. Love is a dangerous game. Thankfully, though, guaranteed wins exist at Helzberg Diamonds. Right now, save $400 on the half-carat total weight diamond heart pendant, only $299.99. This Thursday, February 14th, show Cupid who's boss. Be the hero on Valentine's Day and give a gift from Helzberg Diamonds.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Recently, I've seen a lot of commercials from attorneys and public adjusters trying to cash in on the hurricane damages to your home or business. Using these individuals could result in a reduction in your insurance claim reimbursement. As a licensed roofing and general contractor, we know how to navigate insurance claims so that you don't have to share your reimbursement with an attorney or a public adjuster. If you have questions, give us a call. Our advice is free. Turning your claim over to an attorney or a public adjuster is not.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Receiver Antonio Brown officially has requested a trade from the Steelers. That news following a tweet today from Brown where he said farewell to the Steelers and their fans, adding that it's time to move forward. Brown has wanted a fresh start for quite some time, notes ESPN Steelers reporter Jeremy Fowler.
Brown has been unhappy. I've talked to several people in and around and close to Brown who say that they feel Brown's sick of being the scapegoat for the Steelers' problems and wants to show he can thrive elsewhere. He's had minimal contact with the team. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has been handling that contact.
Brown's been the subject of widespread trade speculation after failing to show up the day before the regular season finale. Texans expected to release receiver Demaryius Thomas. The 31-year-old suffered a season-ending torn Achilles in December. He's due a non-guaranteed $14 million salary in 2019. Adam Schefter and ESPN's Chris Mortensen reporting that Jeffrey Simmons, a projected first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, suffered a knee injury during training that is thought to be a torn ACL. NBA Celtics will be without All-Star guard Kyrie Irving tonight against the 76ers because of an injured knee. Coverage at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Boston's blown big leads in each of its last two games, both losses. Currently sitting fifth in the East, one game back of fourth place Philadelphia. Baseball. Jacob deGrom's representatives have set opening day as their deadline to complete a contract extension with the Mets, informing the team that deGrom will not negotiate during the season. His agency told the Mets the sides could possibly resume contract talks next offseason. deGrom is scheduled to become a free agent after the 2020 season. NHL, Bruins leading scorer David Pastrnak will be out at least 2 weeks after undergoing a procedure on his injured thumb.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello. I hope this isn't true. If you had to guess the nicest guy on the PGA Tour, who would you guess? I bet I know. Keep it in your mind.
Okay.
You got it in your mind?
I'm going to tell Matthew so we have a witness.
All right, you go. You tell him?
I did.
My guess is Matt Kuchar.
That's correct. That's what I'm guessing.
Universal.
Yeah.
I'm guessing everybody believes that to be true. He certainly comes across as the happiest damn fellow I've ever seen. Well, here's this story.
Uh-oh.
No,
so you open up a Monday show saying, I don't know this Wake Forest game, and then today you're saying Matt Kuchar is an hashtag you-know-what.
I sure hope not, man. But what do you make of this? This is more than a golf story. This is just, again, I hate it, man. Our heroes, he's not a hero, but he seems like a nice guy that everybody would agree is. So now you're like, oh, man, is nothing sacred? There's a controversy, a pay dispute between Matt Kuchar and his fill-in caddy, David Gerald Ortiz of the Mayakoba Golf Classic. It's been ongoing since back in November. He is a diminutive, this is from the article, so I'm reading from the article, a diminutive Mexican caddy who goes by El Tucan. He said in a recent phone interview that after being paid $5,000 by Matt Kuchar on the Sunday evening after the golfer won the Mayakoba Golf Classic in November, he's not received any other payment. He'd like to get paid. He's like, oh, yo, man, where's my money? The caddy said he was offered an additional $15,000 for a total of $20,000. But that he found that unacceptable. He also said he would not want to work for Kuchar at next year's tournament. For both player and caddy, the show-me-the-money aftermath of a magical week has been filled with frustration and disappointment. Ortiz feels he was underpaid. Kuchar feels he has made a fair offer to a club caddy who was with him for only 1 week. That the pay dispute is played out over several social media sites without either party saying much of anything is a sign of the times. In January 24th to be exact, Ortiz sent an email to Mark Steinberg. Hey, I met Mark Steinberg. Kuchar's agent. He's everybody's agent, folks. The caddy wrote, I am a humble man who takes care of his family and works hard. I am reaching out to you to see if you can facilitate me receiving a fair amount for my help with Matt winning $1.296 million. I'm not looking to disparage Matt or give him a bad name on tour, but fair is fair, and I feel like I was taken advantage of by placing my trust in Matt Kuchar. Ortiz, a 40-year-old father, as is Kuchar, said he wrote in Spanish and used Google Translate to turn his words into English. He also said he received help from Americans visiting Mayakoba, the Mexican resort where he works. Asked how he felt about the offer to receive what he said would be an additional and final payment of $15,000, Ortiz said, no, thank you, they can keep their money. In response to an email from golf.com, Kuchar and Steinberg seeking comment, they were seeking comment, Steinberg wrote, the report on what Matt's caddy was offered are wildly inaccurate. However, it isn't appropriate to discuss the amounts publicly. He also said that I'm currently out of the country and cannot talk about this. Because email doesn't work.
Yeah, because emails. Yeah. Charges by the character.
Ortiz said he did not expect to be paid what a tour caddy would have made, But he said he believed his work and contribution toward the win was worth $50,000. The win was Kuchar's first in more than 4 years. He's made over $46 million in Tour's prime. Did you know that? $46 million.
Different game than before Tiger, right?
Yeah. He's 10th on the career money list. Speaking through a translator, Ortiz says, Matt's a good person. Oh, that's good to hear. All right, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, I feel better already. That's good. And a very good player. He treated me well. I'm only disappointed by how it all finished. Shortly after the announcement, Ortiz said he'd hoped and expected to work for Kuchar when he defends his title again this upcoming year. Asked recently if he would want a caddy for Kuchar again, he said, at this point, no thank you. Quote, I'm a little bit pissed. That's one of the great quotes ever.
So,
no thank you. I'm a bit pissed. Ortiz is a full-time club caddy, was filling in for Kuchar's regular caddy, John Wood, who didn't make the trip to Mexico. A $3,000 weekly payment for a fill-in local caddy would widely be considered generous by tour standards. The sticking point is the size of the bonus. A tour caddy typically receives 5% of a player's winnings, a higher percentage for a top 10 finish, and 10% for a win. They get 10% in all wins. Those arrangements are usually handshake deals. Ortiz said that Kuchar said at the start of the tournament that he'd be paid $3,000 for the week plus a percentage of his winnings.
But didn't say the old 10% rule.
Didn't give him the 10% rule. Didn't even mention what the percentage of the winnings would be.
Okay, so this guy's asking for $50K, and he won what? 1.2?
1.296. So $1,300,000.
Okay, so he's not asking for obviously the 10% here. He's asking for less than 5%. That seems to be pretty fair.
Yes, he's been screwed.
Yeah.
No, this isn't some sort of I'm going to stick you up. I mean, he's been screwed. By Sunday night of the tournament, Kuchar's smiling face was sunburned and covered in stubble. He and Ortiz posed for pictures together with a winner's trophy. Later, Ortiz said the golfer handed him an envelope with his payment in cash and said, thank you, there you go. Bye. Ortiz said the envelope contained 100s, 50s, 20s, and 5s, and that it added up to $5,000.
So $50,000 if you're just doing 1.3. I just rounded to 1.3 because I forgot all the numbers you threw at me. If you wanted $50,000 at a 1.3 million, that's 3.8%. There you go. I mean, no, that's not much. If the going rate is 10% for a victory.
In January at the Sony Open, Kuchar was asked for the first time this year about it because it's starting to gain momentum. People on the tour are talking about this. It's been posted in several articles, so his name is starting to get sullied. Other tour players are talking about it, too.
So when he's in, like, the club dining room, like the staff's like, please, no, it's not necessary. No tip is necessary, Matt. I get it. Don't worry about it.
So here's my favorite part. The fact that it's starting to get talked about. Other tour players are mentioning this off the record to reporters. These are guys like, I've seen your act, Kuch. You've been screwing people for years.
Really? Is that what they're saying?
Well, I mean, this. Why else is this coming up? The guy is himself not talking about it. Ortiz has not talked to the press about it until he was contacted after this became a story again this week.
So this all started with anonymous sources in that article? Is that what's going on here?
Originally, he sent an email to Steinberg and said, hey, what gives? My man gave me $5,000, but, I mean, a little help. And Steinberg's like, hey, I'll talk to him. And then nothing really happens. Well, then at some point, I guess it became a thing where people started to talk about it. It was rumored to have happened, and people wanted to ask Kuchar. Well, he was finally asked, what's the deal with this story? And he dismissed it. And then when he was asked about it again in January, reporters there at the Sony Open said, hey, what's the story about what you've paid Ortiz? And he said, well, that's not a story. It wasn't 10%. It wasn't $3,000 either. So he's disputing this, but we shall see.
Something tells me you can access some channels that might tell you whether or not there's anything to this idea that Matt Kuchar is a bit of a stiffer when it comes to the tips.
So here's what I'm going to find out.
Stiffison.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to find this out, and it's one of the things that's a perk of the job. But I will know by Thursday, friends. I will get to the bottom of this. I will let you know what's what with Matt Kuchar in this situation. I think I'll be able to let you know. I'm not going to reach out to Steinberg. I don't have it like that with him. I just met him once.
So it'd be like, if you go to Sawgrass and he tosses a ball and this, and you grab the ball, you're like, I'm surprised you didn't give me 10% of this. Thanks for the whole ball.
Should I give you some money for the ball, Cooch? It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Knicks removed a photo on its website that featured Golden State Warriors star Kevin Durant and has also been widely reported to be a top target for the Knicks in free agency this offseason. Oh, and the photo also had promising Knicks rookie center Mitchell Robinson. Some could take the photo as a less than subtle signal about guess who's coming to dinner at the Knicks table. The Knicks told the New York Daily News, to be clear, it was just one of several rotating photos on the website. South Korea has chosen its capital, Seoul, for its bid for the 2032 Summer Olympics, which it hopes to jointly host with rival North Korea as a peace gesture. South Korea's Olympic Committee announced the decision in which Seoul received 34 of 49 votes. And that is a Bloomberg Business of Sports report. I'm Michael Barr, brought to you by Grainger. For safety and industrial supplies, Grainger's got your back. Visit Grainger.com.
With this job, having two hands won't cut it, which is why I thank the stars I have a third. Grainger. When my two hands are full, I fully rely on Grainger. They're America's #1 source for industrial-grade supplies. So, whether I'm fixing a furnace or fastening a faucet, Grainger hands me what I need when I need it, which makes me a pretty lucky guy. Because when it comes to needing an extra hand, Grainger's got your back. Call or click Grainger.com to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention, everyone. I have a President's Day pro tip. You need to go to Dell.com/business deals right now because Dell's President's Day sale is live as we speak, and it's monumental. Get deals on Dell business computers with 8th Gen Intel Core processors and business tech, plus doorbusters up to 45% off. Call 877-BUY-DELL now to talk to Dell's small business technology advisors and get personalized help finding the best tech at President's Day prices. Free shipping included. Again, call 877-BUY-DELL.
Hendrick.
Are you ready to rule the open road? Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet has just what you need. Right now, get huge savings on the 2018 Silverado 1500 during the Silverado Sell-Down Sales Event. So hurry in to shop our huge Silverado selection at Tallahassee's Chevy Truck Headquarters. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevy on West Tennessee or DaleJr.Chevy.com. Find new roads.
Valentine's Day is right around the corner. The question is, what gift are you getting for the one you love? We get it. It's not easy. Love is a dangerous game. Thankfully, though, guaranteed wins exist at Helzberg Diamonds. Right now, save $400 on the half-carat total weight diamond heart pendant, only $299.99. This Thursday, February 14th, show Cupid who's boss. Be the hero on Valentine's Day and give a gift from Helzberg Diamonds.
Live life. Head on. Take every shot. And when it comes to tax season, go for the win with Liberty Tax. Because while you do life, we do taxes. Bounce into a Liberty Tax by February 16th and we'll give you $50 cash for filing with us. Send in a friend and when they complete their return, we'll give you another $50. Stop by today or visit LibertyTax.com. Liberty Tax. You do life, we do taxes.
Located at 2210 North Monroe Street next to Chick-fil-A. Call 597-8248.
Just like football, when it comes to the court of law, you're going to need a solid defense. I'm Michael D. Blank, attorney with the Law Office of Jose Fernandez in Tallahassee. At the Law Office of Jose Fernandez, there is never an upfront fee, and if we don't recover, then you don't pay anything. Our team is dedicated to handling all types of accident, injury, negligence, malpractice, and wrongful death cases. If you're unable to come to us, we can come to you day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, for your free consultation today. The Law Office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid until you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. GRFinjury.com. Go Knowles.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
A salvage excavation site near a new housing development in Aarhus, Denmark. Oh, Aarhus, Denmark, absolutely. Has revealed the remains of sacrificial victims, including a headless woman and 8 dogs, who were dropped into a bog. Love the bog people talk. Man, there was a lot of bog killing back in the day. People were thrown into bogs 2,000-3,000 years ago all the time. There must have been bogs everywhere. I've never even seen a bog. Have you?
No, can't say I have.
They were everywhere 2,000 years ago, and people were getting chucked in them. So this headless woman and 8 dogs were dropped into a bog, they believe, around 2,500 years ago. That according to a museum-led excavation team in Denmark's Mosgard Museum. The bodies of humans preserved in bogs have received a lot of scholarly attention. Less is known about why the dogs were thrown in, and that's exactly what I thought immediately. I thought, you're throwing the people in, it's because you believe in some silly fairy tale about needing to serve the gods. But the dogs, what did the dogs do? That's not what we do. Quote, "It's always surprising to find so many dogs and also find a human mixed in," said Mandrup. "It was the jackpot." The dogs appear to have been a breed similar to that of border collies, probably used to herd the sheep. If you're herding sheep, why are you killing these dogs? They serve a function. Why are you throwing them into the bog? Leashes were found, Tom. How they were killed is not known. Well, they were thrown into the bog, for starters.
Dogs had leashes back in the day, huh?
Over 2,000 years ago, people had the dogs on the leashes. Other sacrifices have been found in other nearby bogs. And in those bogs, they found iron weapons and human bones and 13 more dog skeletons. These people were killing dogs left and right.
So maybe they thought that if they took over your property, the dogs would never follow you, so they just killed the dogs
threw
too?
you in the bog with them?
There's a theory.
According to Mandrup, we can see there was a lot of sacrifice in this area, which isn't always normal. No, normal. Not normal to sacrifice human beings to some fictitious god, of course, but I think it's fascinating that they were forever throwing them into bogs. And I've never seen a bog, and when I read that this morning, I thought, I wonder if Tom has seen a bog.
No.
Has anybody we've ever met? Do you ever met anybody that said, "Hey, I was at this bog one time"?
I once escaped a bog.
Right. When you were a kid and you watched ridiculous shows that were made for children, adventure shows of any kind, and people fell into quicksand, didn't that scare the hell out of you? Didn't you think, imagine falling into quicksand? And I've never seen quicksand. Is quicksand real? Is that a thing? Do people get trapped in quicksand and sink ever so slowly to their death? I assume it is, but where is this quicksand? I've never seen it.
There was, the most horrifying one I saw as a kid was Quicksand in Lawrence of Arabia, one of my favorite movies, because that is just an arduous scene, and the guy, there's nothing you could do for him. One of the 2 loyal servants of Lawrence himself.
Yeah, quicksand is a terrible death, man.
He and his friend have to watch the guy go.
A lot of time.
You see the panic in his eyes. It's good acting. Good actings.
Well, it's like when we talk about these guys who jump out of planes and forget to put on the parachute, and then all of a sudden they realize they're a goner. It's a toughie. Remember that article? Dude forgot to put on a parachute, jumped out of the plane.
So one time in the summer, I was home from college, and my mom loved to watch that ridiculous Vegas show with James Caan, an older James Caan. Remember that? The casino?
Ridiculous show,
the Montecito or whatever it is. And so I'm getting ready to go to work at the golf club. Boy, this is very first world. And so there's this guy at the end of this long episode my mom's watching. It's like this emotional conclusion to the episode. And this guy's in the plane, and he's old, and he found out he's terminally ill. I was like, he's jumping out of that plane without the parachute, Mom. She goes, no, he's not. That's ridiculous.
He knew it. You knew it.
I knew it.
It was a form.
And it was then they do a montage, and they cut back to him at the end of the montage, and he just jumps out the plane, and they show his parachute. I said, I told you. And I left for work. She goes, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Well, there's a famous incident that actually occurred that you can find online in which a person did jump out of the airplane after doing 60 jumps in one day, and they forgot the last one to put on the parachute. Yeah.
Well, this guy did it on purpose because he didn't want to go through
He was done dealing.
Yeah, the indignity.
He was calling it a day. While we're doing the segment about the bog people and the dogs being thrown, and you can't be throwing dogs into the bogs. It's not what you do. The people, whatever. But the dogs don't do it. Here's what I'll tell you. I looked it up. You can't die in quicksand. It's fictitious. Doesn't have it. I knew it. I've never looked it up until right now. Quicksand, colloid hydrogel consisting of fine granular material such as sand, silt, clay, and water. Quicksand forms in saturated loose sand when the sand is suddenly agitated. When water in the sand cannot escape, it creates a liquefied soil that loses strength and cannot support weight. But here's the thing. Studies, in fact, have shown that it is impossible to be completely submerged in quicksand because humans are less dense than quicksand, and a person would only sink to their chest before they began to float. What does make quicksand potentially deadly is the ability to trap you and hold you.
Yeah, how do you get out of there?
So if there's nobody around...
Here come the ants. Oh, dude.
Yeah, that's a toughie. But if there's nobody around and you're stuck in quicksand, you could be there for days, hours, years, whatever, and you're dead. I got you. But frankly, the idea of sinking beneath the sand at a snail's pace is actually the more horrific part of that, right?
I don't know.
The fact that you can't.
If you get stuck at your chest and here comes like a bobcat or something.
But he's going to be stuck in the quicksand. What? I mean, you mean you're like on the edge? If you're on the edge, pull yourself out. So if you're out in the middle, he can't come get you. He's going to get stuck in the quicksand.
Maybe he could eat you before he gets sunk in there.
I don't think so. Also, who's allowing themselves as they sink to have their hands down below their waist? They wouldn't. You'd have your hands up. You're like, oh, hands up. You wouldn't let your hands be trapped where you can't. I'm stuck.
3 to the sky.
This thing is eating my face, and I cannot protect myself. You wouldn't do it. You'd have your hands up like you're playing defense.
Come on, kids. Remember the rules. If you ever
3 to the sky.
3 to the sky.
3 to the sky. Earnhardt's on the pole in heaven. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Living every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Receiver Antonio Brown officially has requested a trade from the Steelers. That news following a tweet today from Brown where he said farewell to the Steelers and their fans, adding that it's time to move forward. Brown has wanted a fresh start for quite some time, notes ESPN Steelers reporter Jeremy Fowler.
Brown has been unhappy. I've talked to several people in and around and close to Brown who say that they feel Brown's sick of being the scapegoat for the Steelers' problems and wants to show he can thrive elsewhere. He's had minimal contact with the team. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has been handling that contact.
Brown's been the subject of widespread trade speculation after failing to show up the day before the regular season finale. Texans expected to release receiver Demaryius Thomas. The 31-year-old suffered a season-ending torn Achilles in December. He's due a non-guaranteed $14 million salary in 2019. Adam Schefter and ESPN's Chris Mortensen reporting that Jeffrey Simmons, a projected first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, suffered a knee injury during training that is thought to be a torn ACL. NBA Celtics will be without All-Star guard Kyrie Irving tonight against the 76ers because of an injured knee. Coverage at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Boston's blown big leads in each of its last two games, both losses. Currently sitting fifth in the East, one game back of fourth place Philadelphia. Baseball. Jacob deGrom's representatives have set opening day as their deadline to complete a contract extension with the Mets, informing the team that deGrom will not negotiate during the season. His agency told the Mets the sides could possibly resume contract talks next offseason. deGrom is scheduled to become a free agent after the 2020 season. NHL Bruins leading scorer David Pastrnak will be out at least 2 weeks after undergoing a procedure on his injured thumb.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. One more day closer to the start of Florida State baseball this Friday. Woo-hoo! That's a good thing. Woke up feeling that today. Woke up feeling baseball today.
You know, I flipped to MLB Network last night for the same reason.
I watched baseball. I watched MLB Network last night as well, sir, on my anniversary. Because the wife wanted to, I kid.
It was MLB Now as Brian Kenny talking to the panel about the rules changes and such.
Did you see the shredder on shortstops, first base, right field? They've been doing.
I saw just the graphics on social media because I want to see if Edwin Diaz, who we traded for in the offseason, he's number 4 according to the shredder. Who is the shredder? A dude? Is that
no, the shredder's a machine that they input all the factors in, range and offensive numbers and everything, and it spits out.
I knew who he was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
but
it spits out what they are at that point. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. Happy Lawn Maintenance Tuesday to you and yours. If you're missing anything or you did miss anything so far, go find it upon the conclusion of the show. All 3 hours posted, as always, to iTunes and our own audio vault. I should begin the show here, or begin the hour here as I began the show, with the news that we didn't get Nick Cross, and you know, I didn't really think we would. I know for the longest time that seemed like a real deal, and it should have been. We all know it should have been. He wanted to play here. I feel sorry for the young man, terribly sorry for the young man who desperately wanted to play at Florida State, but whose crappy parents decided for him. And so what you end up having here is a tough break for the Noles, who lose out on a kid. And interestingly enough, I don't know, does it make you feel any better that he didn't go to Penn State? That he went to Maryland, where he'll never be heard from again?
Knockdown drag out. You know, sometimes handlers make the decisions for you, and we talked about that a little bit yesterday, just kind of grazing alongside the talking point of Anthony Edwards going to Georgia. Sometimes people around you make some decisions for you, and you don't know what their motivations may be. In this case, it seemed like parents who were meddling into not Florida State, never Florida State, and I just don't get that. They don't think of it as an academic institution. I'm telling you, man. This place has changed a little bit in the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, have they said that?
It was all about academics, yes.
So they went to Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
They wanted Georgia, too.
Which is not about academics. Right? Either is Maryland. That's nuts. I mean, if that's what we're talking about here, there are a lot of schools that play football that have elite academic status.
Apparently we had Myron Roll reach out, made the full court press, the whole thing.
Well, I mean, that's fine. I'll just say this. I wish him luck. I have nothing against the kid. I hate his situation. Now, he's from Maryland, so if this is the compromise, so be it. You know, I hate it for him because he clearly wanted to go to Florida State. It's a shame. I don't begrudge Maryland for efforting to get him, and I certainly don't begrudge Penn State, who did the same. And look, I've got no problem with parents having major influence over their children who are making, decisions that are going to affect the rest of their lives. I get that is the kind of thing that you sit down with your children to do. At some point, you got to let your kid make the decision as to where they're going to go.
Well, if they're essentially, not holding the ceremony that celebrates their accomplishments to this point, and it's because the kid says, I'm not going anywhere else but here. I don't care what you say. Yeah, I mean
at that
there's
point,
a line.
You got to let them go.
If
I'm
mom
not
or
talking
dad
about
wants you to do
persuading.
something, and then you're like, all right, mom, fine, I'll go here. Dad, I'll go here. That's one thing. But if you're dragged kicking and screaming
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. If your heart and mind is set, if you've taken the time to contemplate the pros and the cons, and the parents should present those. Absolutely, they should. I mean, you sit down with your kids and you do that, and you say, listen, I want you to make this decision, but I want it to be an educated and informed decision. I'm not going to try to persuade you one way or the other, but what I will tell you is this. And then you and listen, if you've got a reason, a very specific reason that you want your kid to do whatever it is. I mean, in this case, we're talking about choosing a school. But whatever it is, I'd like to believe you're coming to the party armed with some facts as to why. Why you believe it's important for their future, why you believe it's important for them to do, why you think it's in their best interest.
Yeah.
You don't just willy-nilly that thing. You let them know, look, I've got a lot of opinions about a lot of things.
Well, and
but you got to back it up.
And to be clear, it's mostly his dad, according to all the stories. I mean, I'm frustrated for two reasons with this. Number one, this kid, he had a laser time 4.40. He has a 38.5-inch vertical.
He's 210 pounds and 6 feet tall, and yeah.
Damn it, man. But then I'm just frustrated for the people who have to cover this damn beat. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go find out what dad wants. Like, think about that. Like, who do you ask? The dad himself? Or how do you get that information that it's split between kid and dad? How do you cultivate those sources and then flesh them out with a second source?
Yeah. No, that's tough. It's not ideal. Glad we don't have to do that.
Me too.
Somebody else
We could just take that information and say, thanks,
right.
War Chant. Thanks, 24/7.
Yeah. No, without question. It's a shame, and it hurts Florida State. But Florida State's recruiting class, if you were going to single out and certainly highlight an area or a segment group, it would be that of the secondary. So it's not like they lost a marquee offensive lineman today.
But they lost the bell cow of the segment. This guy would have been the guy.
Well, that's safety. Akeem Dent's the bell cow of the segment, the secondary. I
understand his star ranking. I look at 5'8" or 5'9", whatever he is, and this guy is he looked like he was going to be that hybrid freak in the mold of a Ramsey or Derwin James.
It may very well be that he's a better player. We don't know. I'm just talking about where they were, how they were thought of coming out. And so, look, Cross is going to Maryland. So you won't hear of him. You won't see of him. He won't be a part of major college football. The next time you'll hear from him is when he's getting drafted and you go, I guess he had a good career at Maryland.
They'll upset Michigan or Penn State one time in his career, and he might have a pick.
He might. If they're lucky, they'll play Texas again because he'll guarantee to win then.
They should just sign up for an annual Texas game.
Other than playing Texas.
Like Texas can beat most anybody else, but they cannot beat Maryland these days.
You won't hear a thing else about Maryland except for when they beat Texas at the start of the season.
Man, I remember that. So Texas' first play from scrimmage wasn't a play. It was a delay of game off of the season opening kickoff. Think about that. You starting your season with a delay of game.
Let's just put it this way. The Texas season ended a lot better than it started. And this time around, that loss didn't send them spiraling into just a malaise like it did the prior season.
No, and love or hate Herman. I think there's been a little bit of both over the last few years, just admiring from afar, then learning who he is, and now hating him. His season clinching line is something that we're shooting for, which is now it's a player run program instead of a coach run program, and we're aiming for that player run program accountability. And if we can do that here, next thing you know, we'll be dragging in top 10, top 5 classes.
Yeah, it'll be about winning a whole bunch of football games along the way with the kinds of kids you're talking about. By the way, if there's anybody that feels worse today than we do, it's Penn State, who thought for sure they had him after the visit on campus. He was going to Penn State. It was going to be the parents win out, the dad wins out. He's going to Penn State. He actually had a liking for Penn State. He loved Florida State. But, okay, Dad, if I can't go to Florida State, then maybe I'll go to Penn State. He ends up in Maryland. I mean, that's Penn State got kicked in the cojones today, too. They thought they had him.
Well, they thought they had him through Dad. Yeah, apparently, he put out some sort of social media video. Again, can you imagine being on this beat for a living? My God.
Well,
but
he
put out a
social
media video
that went to Penn State.
And he was just sulking They were at a party, and there were like, some shirtless dudes at the party, and he was just like, "This is terrible."
I wouldn't be at that party.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm going to Florida State," is what he was live mentioning when he was up there.
As he should have, especially based on that evidence. My goodness gracious! I mean, what kind of party are
Like
we
frat
having around
boys,
here?
like frat boy types.
This is ridiculous.
Hey, bro, did you hear the new Cardi B?
So onward he goes, and best of luck to him. Now that said, I've moved on. We have baseball to think about, sir. And I will say this. I guess I'll get to baseball in a second because it's going to open me up to a larger conversation, a different conversation that I had today with a person in marketing on the heels of reading an article again about attendance drop. We get this annually now. Attendance drop articles throughout the country. If you go to like ussportspages.com and you just sample sports pages all over the country, about starting really right after the Bowls, but maybe even a month after the Bowls end, you'll find periodically, I do almost once a week, the article that drops in the region of, say, the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or in the Southeastern Conference or the ACC about attendance being down. And they'll circle the highlights of things that were better, this team doing better, therefore their attendance went up by 3%. Here's the one that got crushed. Their team is down, and they lost, season tickets sales dropped by 14% or whatever it would be, right? And so I want to touch on that in a second because I think we're probably at a place now where they're not gonna get there, man. It's a little bit like Monday Night Football ratings. Remember those articles?
Well, yeah,
when years.
Well, shoot,
3 channels. People were like, "Oh, back in the day, Monday Night Football." There were 3 options to choose from, not 1,000.
That's like the AAF this weekend, and the big headline was that they tied. At first, the headline read that they beat the NBA on ABC. Then it was corrected to say they tied the NBA on ABC, and they were on CBS for that weekend. Good luck generating a 2.1 overnight when you're on CBS Sports Network or NFL Network. That's just never going to happen. Broadcast channels, that's what they do, man. They generate viewers just by nature. And when ESPN moved, or when Monday Night Football, rather, moved over to ESPN, they never stood a chance of touching a record ever again. Cable's much different than broadcast. It's just the way it goes.
Well, right. And people's choices and the way that they bring in entertainment, watch entertainment, store entertainment is changing by the day, and they're really struggling to really get a gauge on who's watching what, by the way. They're really struggling there because you have multi-platform situations now, and so they don't really know who's watching.
Well, and
they can't get a handle on that.
That was like the ESPN PR thing. It said, just get ready for the next 2 years for ESPN PR to tout that this is the most digitally watched event, in this time slot ever, because every year more people are turning to that platform.
So let's have that larger discussion in a second. I want to go back to football for a second before segueing to both baseball and who's watching what. And I'll say this. Last Friday, CBS Sportsline wrote an article, the early season list of those that would be on the hot seat. And Willie Taggart made the list. And get ready for an offseason of this. I'm not saying that it's wrong to speculate that Willie Taggart is off to a ominous start. I get what you're doing, what the articles are. Would you be surprised to find that he was number 5 on a top 5 list? Not number 1, but number 5?
No, because I think a lot of people look at the Florida State situation and somehow they forget we went 7-6 the year prior.
Oh, they certainly forget that. They forget it, and then they attribute this problem to Willie.
Yeah.
He's unlucky in that way.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. The article wrote, and this is what was written specifically about Florida State, like Harbaugh, I don't think Taggart gets fired in 2019 unless something goes terribly wrong. The problem is a lot of things are going wrong already. Taggart's first season at Florida State didn't go well. The Seminoles finished 5-7, missed out on a bowl game for the first time since Ronald Reagan was finishing his first year in the Oval Office. And only one of its 7 losses came by a deficit of fewer than 19 points. The calendar flipping to 2019 hasn't done much to help the situation either. DeAndre Francois rightfully booted from the football team. The Noles currently sit ready to enter 2019 with only one scholarship quarterback on the roster after failing to land a quarterback in their recruiting class for the 2nd consecutive season. So, everything's fine. It's crazy to think it was only 6 years ago Florida State won a national title. And as recently as 2016, We were all talking about how Florida State and Clemson could be one of the best rivalries in the sport. Now the gap between the two programs isn't a gap as much as it is a chasm, and it's hard to envision Florida State being able to close that gap quickly. I think Florida State should be better in 2019, but I can't say I'm extremely confident in it happening. And if the Noles manage to go just 7-5 or something and still look outclassed in matchups against the likes of Clemson and Florida, the idea of Taggart only getting 2 seasons, well, that's not insane. That's the article I'm quoting from. That's the CBS Sportsline article written by Tom Fernelli.
I think that's fairly measured, except for the conclusion part of it. Everything building up to it. 7-5, I mean, if you get outclassed by Clemson and Florida, it means you're getting outclassed by somebody else. Attaching Florida to it also doesn't make as much sense. I mean, is Florida really in the realm of Clemson
had one good
right
season
now?
in a long time, but they don't belong alongside them. But we do go on the road against that team who is playing better now, and Dan's got to move it in the right direction. This is the argument when I got in with the guys on Seminole Headlines. They gave a little bit more leeway. I gave less so, which is kind of surprising because I feel like I have been measured.
Mm-hmm.
I said with this schedule, if you lose 6 games, I'm calling for you to be fired. I don't care the reason.
Oh, if you lose 6 games, hell yeah.
Yeah, and if you're 7-5, I might call for you to be fired as well.
Depends on.
It really would depend on a lot of injuries. I mean, you'd have to have a lot of things go south. That schedule's easy. If you lose 5 games, you're not doing a good job. I would have a hard time.
Well, if you lose 3 games by a field goal or something like that, but you're competitive and you're sound in what you're doing, it's just,
I'm just saying find the 5 losses because you can say Florida and Clemson, and there's 2. Now give me the other.
You could have said find the
losses.
7 losses last year. Nobody would have been able to do it.
But the point of that would be that there were 7 losses. And so if you have now 5 more, I'm done here. I don't care the reasons anymore. At some point, you're just losing too many games for me to believe in you. So if you lose 5 games, I mean, that's with the schedule being the way it is. Last year, you could find Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, Florida, Clemson. That's 4 right there, and you were on the road against Miami. It wasn't that hard to find 5. 7, yes, but finding 5 wouldn't be that difficult. This year, much harder to do. Much harder to do because you're looking at, okay, Boise, who's having to replace an awful lot, but all right. The first week of the season in the Florida sun, Boise comes down here and beats you in Jacksonville. Not a good look, but okay. It's not a terrible program. Now I'm going to give you Clemson on the road. You're going to get killed. Florida on the road, you could lose. Where are these other 2 losses? The road game against Virginia? Okay, give me another one.
Syracuse.
Okay, well, then we're done. I'm done. If we're going to start regularly losing to middling teams in the ACC.
I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, but listen, Syracuse was not on the docket last year.
We play Syracuse here. If you lose at home to Syracuse on the heels of having a 7-loss season and you lose to Virginia, which means you're falling further behind.
Well, we had to survive a last-second field goal 2 years ago. We got blown out last year by Syracuse, specifically Syracuse.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you're wrong to say that that's a potential problem. I'm saying if you go ahead and lose it, losses matter. If every time you see a team on the schedule that poses some threat and we're marking loss next to it, you're not getting the job done.
We could have had 8 losses last year, easily. 9, actually.
Yes.
BC and Louisville. I mean, they were right there.
I would argue that you should have beaten Miami, certainly. Mm-hmm. There's a win.
Louisville,
you stole. You stole Louisville. There was no other, last year is an unmitigated disaster. That's not up for debate. We're not.
And Adazio,
we're just talking about degrees.
Boy, Adazio really doesn't like the big moment, does he? He kind of shrinks the big moment.
We've talked about that a lot.
It's 4th and 1, dude. What the hell are you doing?
Right, that's happened several times in his career. I'm just saying that likely, barring severe injury or weird things that we can't project, if you were to lose 5 games next year with that schedule, I can't imagine that we, objectively speaking, are going to still be in the camp of Willie Taggart. I don't. I mean, is there a scenario? Yeah, I suppose there's a scenario.
Do you consider yourself in the camp of Willie Taggart?
I am, yes.
I think a year ago, if I posited to you we would have had 7 losses before the season started, you would have said last February, there's no way I'm in the camp of Willie Taggart if we lose 7 games. That's why I'm going to hold off on this one.
No, I disagree. Because I knew that locker room was a disaster. I didn't believe in DeAndre Francois, and we did know that if the offensive line suffered injury or anything happened, that they could be a disaster. I don't think we thought 7 losses, but we knew they could be a 6-6 type team. So I disagree. This is different. Now, I don't expect them to be world beaters. I'm not trying to project that I think this team should go on to win 10 games next year. I just think that schedule is highly beneficial. There are no road Thursday night games. There are no weird, sort of sterile Friday night road games that teams like Clemson have lost and others where you just it's terrible. They're all Saturday afternoon games or Saturday games. Your hardest matchups are spaced properly. You have a bunch of home games that, listen, any year in which you're even remotely close to being 3/4 of what you should be are wins. They're just wins. They're just wins. I hate that we're at a place right now where we're going back to the lost decade where you have to look at every game as a potential loss. Mm-hmm. There were games, certainly, for long stretches at a time where you just go, well, that's a win. What are we doing here? Let's just look at these 4.
Yeah, I think you're going to have 4 or 5 in that middle group of the ACC, and Boise included, I think, too. That could be 7 to 10-point games, and all that is a turnover. It's a fumbled snap. It's a missed exchange at the mesh point. It's a bad decision by the quarterback. If you go over 500 in those games, you're going to be fine, and you're going to hit that number of 8 wins, probably. If you cheat death a little bit more than you should, then you could win 9 games. I think there are going to be a lot of close games that come down to how we handle red zone or turnovers or whatever.
Well, here we go. We accidentally fell into wins and losses. If you would, I mean, let's just do it already. That's what this offseason is going to be, my friend.
Is it just a constant stream of W's and L's?
Yeah, one every month. Here's February the 12th edition.
L's.
Wins.
All right. How you doing?
Losses.
Damn it! We lost. We f***ing super lost, man.
Where do we triumph? Where doth thou fall? Rapid fire edition. We're not going to contemplate too much here. If we're going to do this every month, we might as well just do it really quickly. Gut feeling as we sit here on February the 12th, Tom. Boise State, Florida State.
Loss.
What in the world is going on with T. Lizzie out here?
I picked one that's consistent.
What in the world?
I picked one the first time.
That doesn't mean you have to this time. We have Kendall Briles in the fold. The recruiting class is in.
I'm going to surprise you on some of these middle ones because we're going to win some and lose some. That's where we are. We're mediocre, trending upward, I think. But we might be mediocre and just trending downward again. I don't know.
Or remaining static. Boise State, Florida State, I got a win there. Florida State not only wins, they win by a couple scores. All right, here we go. Oh, man, damn it, man. You threw me for a loop on the opener. Louisiana Monroe, you going to give us a win against? Thank you. Yeah. Okay, I've got us at 2-0. You got us at 1-1. Florida State on the road against Virginia.
I'll take a win there.
I'm tempted to pick a loss there, but I won't. I'll say 3-0.
Okay.
Louisville at Florida State.
Win.
NC State at Florida State. Oh, come on.
Revenge game, win. Well, we have to. I mean, to be honest,
Florida State.
We're not good enough to say just because they're coming here, they're going to beat us. We missed a bowl last year.
We were a disaster last year and could have easily beaten NC State, who had the best quarterback they're going to have in a while and probably as good a team as they're going to have in a while.
I mean, we could have easily beat them. They set the pace there pretty good. We were going for a 4th down coming out of halftime.
We lit that defense on fire. They got no chance in that game next year. We're going to hammer them. Florida State at Clemson.
That's a loss.
That is a loss. Florida State at Wake. It's a win.
That's
Keep
a win.
Moving on. Syracuse at Florida State.
It's a loss.
Jesus. This is ridiculous. I don't want to play this game with you. They lost Dungy. They don't return him.
The DeVito kid's good.
They're not going to do anything close. They had back-to-back 4-8 seasons prior to last year.
Mm-hmm. They nearly beat us when they went 4-8, and they did beat us last year.
Blame Jimbo for that
and
nonsense.
Beat the crap out of us.
Mm-hmm. And we've now got an offensive coordinator and a healthier offensive line.
Hopefully
we know that
the offense is not as stale as he was at the signing day thing.
Well, I don't care about how rah-rah he is at a damn signing day party. Those things suck.
That's true. Walt Bell was dynamic at the signing day.
That's right. Doesn't make any damn bit of difference.
Jackass.
Miami at Florida State.
That is a win for Florida State.
Florida State at Boston College.
They lost their whole offensive line, didn't they?
Everything.
Yeah, we win that game.
Alabama State at Florida State. That's another win.
Ooh, big win.
How many wins? So you got us losing to Florida on the road. So how many wins did you have us?
I think that's 8-4.
You had us beat Alabama State. You had us beat Miami. You had us beat Boston College. You had us lose to Syracuse. You had us beat Wake Forest. You had us lose to NC State. You had us lose to Clemson. You barely had us skirting by Louisville. That's 5 wins. Did you have us beating Virginia?
I did. I had us beating NC State, too, as well.
You sure?
Yeah. Yeah, we can check the tape there. I picked a win over NC State.
So that's 6. Louisiana Monroe is 7.
Yeah. I think I got 8. I got 8
No,
total.
you didn't pick us against Boise State.
I had us losing to Boise State.
That's 1 loss.
Right. I had us losing to
Virginia? No. Okay.
I had us losing to Clemson.
2 losses.
I had us losing to Syracuse.
3 losses.
And Florida. So I'm 8-4.
Okay. Just the 4 losses?
Yeah. That's how an 8-4 season looks, though. I mean, to go 8-4, you have to lose to somebody and say, "What the bleep happened today?"
I got us beating Boise.
I think you got us 9-3.
I do have us 9-3. I might even be bolder when the time comes.
Oh, jeez.
Show me that you got a modicum of something on that offensive line. All right, that's it for impromptu. Tom will have a 6-6 before the summer is over. I promise you.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Craft Beers Weekly. Tap list always available and up to date online with digital pour, so you'll have no surprises when you show up. 3,000 square feet of space with an outdoor deck, expanded food menu with freshly prepared items, dartboards for fun with friends, and so much more. Find out for yourself why they're the best. Come into Growler Country at 3305 Capitol Circle Northeast.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. TSparkConstruction.com.
Recently, I've seen a lot of commercials from attorneys and public adjusters trying to cash in on the hurricane damages to your home or business. Using these individuals could result in a reduction in your insurance claim reimbursement. As a licensed roofing and general contractor, we know how to navigate insurance claims so that you don't have to share your reimbursement with an attorney or a public adjuster. If you have questions, give us a call. Our advice is free. Turning your claim over to an attorney or a public adjuster is not.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. TSparkConstruction.com.
Ricardo's Restaurant at 1950 Thomasville Road in Benton Place has over 25 delicious Italian entrees. You need to treat yourself and experience our secret dough recipe made in-house daily that we use in our incredible pizzas, subs, calzones, and garlic breads and more. And local craft beer, including local beers on tap. German night specials on Thursday, serving both lunch and dinner, dine-in, carry-out, or catering. See more at ricardostally.com. I'm John Acevedo, the owner of Ricardo's Restaurant, from our family to yours since 1999.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources, at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history.
February 12th, 1994. The Winter Olympics opened in Lillehammer, Norway, making it the first time in history that the Winter and Summer Games were not played in the same year. The Norwegians won the most medals, but the games are remembered for Tanya Harding allegedly taking out Nancy Kerrigan before the games.
Want better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine? Change your oil every 3 months or 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. You know that sticker on your windshield? Don't look at it now. Wait until the next red light. Okay, check the number on your sticker. Then check your odometer. Is it time? There are 19 Tallahassee area Superlube locations, which means there's one close to you right now. No appointments, and you're in and out in no time. You could do this today. Superlube, for better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
All right, so we got confirmation for later in the week. This Friday, of course, is opening day for Florida State baseball. Mike Martin Jr. set to join us for our long-form discussion that we do at the beginning of every year. Always like that. Looking forward. It's a special year. There's no getting around it, obviously, with 11's last run. Happy birthday to 11, 75 years old, and we'll give one last go of it here. Remarkable career. You know, I was listening this morning to the ACC network, which occasionally I'm a part of these days on SiriusXM. Shameless plug, and not all that frequently. But Mike
so it's
Fox,
like semi-shameless then at that point.
Yeah, semi-shameless. Mike Fox, North Carolina's head baseball coach, was being interviewed on 371 is what I think the ACC network is on SiriusXM. But anyhow, that said, he was asked about the upcoming season, and he was previewing North Carolina. They're stocked as usual. And they asked him about Mike Martin, his final go-around. He said, well, the shame of it is we don't play Florida State this year, so hopefully I'll play him in the ACC tournament. I'm hoping that's the case. He said, my first ACC series was against Florida State, and I think we went into Dick Howser Stadium, Mike Martin Field, 20-0 at the time and left 20-3. And he said, my story about Mike Martin is this, and this is the kind of cool stuff that's going on right now and will go on throughout the course of the year. And that is that when he was, Mike Fox, the coach in his first year at Wesleyan, there was a meeting in Kansas City of college baseball coaches, and he went to it, and he had to present something, and he knew, but nobody knew who he was. I mean, you know, he's like at that point he had been an assistant at Wesleyan, and he said Mike Martin was the first person that came up to him afterwards and said, "Hey, would you like to go get some lunch?" And that they just sat and talked baseball for an hour, and he goes, and nobody really knew it. And he goes, I've never forgot it. It's really cool. It's the kind of thing, again, that you'll probably hear a lot of throughout the course of the year for people that have had their encounters with Mike Martin over the years, professionally and otherwise. And so I was buoyed by that, and I smiled about that and thinking about baseball and thinking about the start of the year. The team itself, and this discussion will air this Friday before Florida State's baseball game at 4, is really good. They have a chance to go on a run, and there was an awful lot of talk you and I had about the pressure of this year for that group because of what it is with Mike Martin's final year. But I did think about a lot of some of the things that coaches preach, which is be where your feet are and kind of live in the moment and don't think too far out in front, and as the best way of dealing with that. Because obviously they'll feel immense pressure if they do get back to Omaha.
Well, I think that's a great question to ask Mike Martin Jr. about on Friday, because my favorite part of this preseason up and down of the entirety of the roster, it's not just the offense or the guys out in the field where they're going to start and play defense. Mike Martin Jr. has command of the entire roster, pitching staff included, and he'll give you the straight dope on whether or not he thinks a kid needs to work on something, both physically and mentally. And if he tells you that somebody's going to be a good player, he's not sugarcoating it. He means it. It takes a lot for him to say that. Like, I remember when Cal Raleigh first got here, he said he's going to be as good as anybody who's ever been here. And unfortunately, one of his seasons was slowed by injury. But, you never saw it until that point, Mike Martin Jr. in your preseason interview, heaping that type of praise to a freshman. So it tells you all you needed to know about his maturity level and all that kind of stuff before he even played his first game as a Florida State Seminole. But that's the kind of stuff that interview always brings to the table. It's very transparent and honest.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And, one thing, and I'll couple it with what I was saying in the previous segment, and we kind of moved on. We were going through the season, and we got caught up with football, as we're going to be want to do at all times around here. But I was talking about baseball, and I was talking about professional sports and attendance and marketing and all these other things. One thing I've always loved about Florida State baseball, and I can kind of bring us back to this discussion, you don't really ever have that problem. And I think the reason for there not ever being a problem, besides the fact that it's an on-campus stadium and then obviously students can get in and it's free, and not free, but very, very, very cheap for most people to go to a Florida State baseball game, is the part of marketing. And here's where I'll tie it in, because I was reading an article this morning about, again, attendance woes in college football. And I asked a couple of people about, well, what do you do? Because this seems to be an annual trend. And two different people told me that, well, it has to be communal. One of the things that hockey does so well, and that soccer certainly does, is they create an atmosphere and an engagement amongst fans that feels very communal. The chants of songs, for example, in soccer. So even when the action is slow, dull at the time, you're doing something with like-minded people who are sharing an experience. And baseball struggles with that, but not college baseball. And we're so lucky, because that's exactly what the Animals are. That's exactly what Section B is, and that's that shared experience, the communal experience of going to a college baseball game, of going to a Florida State baseball game. And here we are now on the eve, as pitchers and catchers report today in a lot of places, professional baseball coming off a 3-year low in attendance. They struggled last year, and they haven't struggled with TV ratings, but they have struggled with attendance ratings. And I've been thinking more and more about what's going to happen and what the view is going to be of professional sports in general, say 20 years from now. And it ain't good. It's not good. And if you read an article in the Tampa Bay Times the other day about the University of Florida, who had a good year, football-wise.
Oh, no wonder they wrote it.
Florida State, and many other schools, attendance being down.
No wonder they wrote it.
No, but Florida's attendance was down again, too. No,
you said Florida had a good year.
No. Florida had a good year on the field. They won games. They didn't have a great year with attendance. Their average attendance was 82,000. That's their lowest since 1990. So they didn't have a good year at all. But they had a good season, and they still couldn't get anybody to go to games. Florida State's crowd reached decades low. Our announced attendance was 68,288 on average. That's pathetic, downright embarrassing. We had the fewest amount of people come to a game since 1992. And we were really good in 1992. 57,000 showed up for that Boston College game. That was the smallest announced crowd attendance in 30 years. 30 years. The attendance, the spots where attendance went up, UCF, stands to reason. When you don't lose a game for a couple of years, that helps. And they don't have a massive stadium to fill. In fact, you look at their numbers, UCF averages 44,000. USF did a little bit better than they had been doing, but it's still not great. Their announced home attendance on average is 38,000. They don't even have their own stadium.
Seems a little heavy, but okay.
You buying 38,000?
No, I'm thinking like 23 a game, if that.
The year prior, it was 31,000. Remember, they got off to such a great start. Mm-hmm. Maybe that helped aid the attendance numbers there.
Ray J holds like 55. I don't think they're pushing past 50% capacity.
Well, the point would be that's their announced attendance. And then I went on to read the annual article about what's happening throughout the SEC with attendance being down, et cetera, et cetera. And I began to think about what are you going to do if you're in marketing? And right now, people in marketing's ears pop up, perk up, I should say, because I don't know. I mean, you have to have a better in-venue experience than you do at home. And really, there's only so much you can do with that, Tom, especially if you suck.
Mm-hmm.
Winning is what you can do. You have to win a lot,
yes,
and then they will come to games, and that's pretty much the end of it. But in-venue experience is the key, and or creating communal polls where you feel as a consumer, when they call you to renew your season tickets, that it is absolutely vital to your way of life that you be there in attendance, because otherwise you're going to say, No, I'm good. You guys aren't any good. And, oh, by the way, it's hard to get to Tallahassee.
Exactly.
And you're asking me to spend thousands of dollars, and everybody is gouging me every which way to Sunday. They're looking for ways that they can get my dollars. For example, the hotels in the area. You know, you get screwed a lot of different ways.
Yeah, you do. And Ray J's $65,000, by the way, clean that up. But the other thing is you hear from a lot of boosters, and even ones that just sign up, and they will do so no matter what, that they don't feel welcome all the time. Like, they don't feel like the communal thing exists.
Well, they feel like they get gouged or that they're being asked for something at all times.
Correct.
They're never just given something. There has never been, it's rarely seen, put it that way, a model, ours included, in which you spend a little money to make a little money. That is to say, hey, look at that. I opened my mailbox and I got something from them, as opposed from them asking me for something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Now, the one thing I would say, and I saw Jerry Kutz was doing this on the message boards for all the sites, he was letting people know that VRBOs, Airbnbs, are extremely reasonable in the Tallahassee area, and there are thousands of listings for a game weekend.
That is true.
So if you have the hotel blues, which most everybody does, and you don't have that, what was it? Hang up would be the word, about staying in somebody else's home or their guest house or something like that. It is true. That really is the way to go in the 21st century. I'm not trying to run off any hotel dollars from here, because I'm sure any hotel that would advertise on 97.9 ESPN Radio would not gouge the people of Tallahassee in the fall football season. But if you're looking for a reasonable way to get to Tallahassee and stay here, especially if you have a larger group, man, you can keep costs down by buying that new way with VRBO and Airbnb.
Here's what I found interesting, and I didn't know this. We carry the Atlanta Braves, and so I'll bring it back home here to us with the Atlanta Braves and what they're doing. They were the first in Major League Baseball to do this. They're trying to appeal, and this is where baseball has been screwed. Millennials don't connect to baseball for a myriad of reasons, pace being one of them, and they have short attention spans. But the other reason millennials don't connect to baseball is they don't want to own anything, and they're very nomadic, so they won't buy season tickets. Everything's on their devices. They're spur of the moment, and so recognizing that it's awfully tough to staff your venues when you don't know how many people are going to come to a game, and you're depending on walk-ups, I suppose, because people won't buy season tickets. Who are you marketing to? How do you get a feel for what you're doing and how many people you need there and what will work? Well, that's where they had a digital flex pass where they pushed onto the people that, hey, if you spend this amount, you can come to 20 games, any game. You just tell us when you're coming. We'll choose the seats for you, but it's only this much, and you only have to commit to this many games.
Right. It'll be best available within, these seating areas.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me, subscription-based ticket sales are thought to be one of the ways of connecting and solving some of the problems. So the way you connect to Netflix, the way you have Netflix, you have to see value in that. So I watch this many movies or documentaries a month, and I don't mind giving Netflix $10.99. Now, I could watch 150 movies a month if I was, and I felt like I was really screwing them for that price. So you're always weighing that, right? Maybe the idea is at Florida State. We'll use Florida State for example. You spend a set amount of money for all things. So you say, I belong to FSU's subscription-based ticket sales. I pay $100 a month year-round. You got me, $100 a month. And I go to unlimited games, any game. But you got me. So when I call and say I want a ticket for this Saturday's game, I got a ticket for this Saturday. Could be tennis, could be baseball, could be softball, could be soccer, could be football, basketball, you name the sport. I have a ticket, but I'm giving you $100 a month to ensure that I have that ticket.
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. Softball finally started selling tickets this year, for cash. Some of those are free, but I think that you would probably have to go a little bit higher a month to get on demand. But I understand what you're saying.
That's the same thing, though. It's like
it's like maybe $200, $250 a month.
Well, it's whatever you find
to include
value.
Football, and
That's right.
I get to go to whatever game I want to at home.
Yeah, it's just like any of the other subscription-based things that are out there now. WWE Network, Hulu, Netflix, Apple Music, Spotify. Everybody pays that, and they decide, is it worth it?
So I can tell you I'm like a hybrid of a Gen Xer and a millennial. I'm somewhere in the middle here. And this year we were considering in my household getting annual passes to Disney World down in Orlando, and we were running the numbers of how many times you would have to go in order for it to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know exactly when we're going. We just
Yeah,
know
you
we
just
have to
wanna be
go
able to
X
go.
number of times. And that's where it makes sense with the subscription-based stuff. If you're an out-of-town fan of the Braves, like one of our listeners, he hooked us up with tickets a couple of years ago to SunTrust Park. I did. I was able to go, which was very nice. But he couldn't go, and he's 4 hours away. But if he is allowed a subscription-based service to say, pick any game, 8 games you want, pick any 12 games you want, up for certain price levels,
pick your packages.
You're going to increase the radius of people who are likely to come to your games, rather than them going through the hassle for every single Saturday or Sunday they want to go to. They book at the last minute, and they have to get a Ticketmaster fee every single time that they're booking tickets through.
Yeah, it's perfect now, too, with our devices, too. They just push it through, and you would just call in and say, I'm coming this Saturday. They'd push it through to your phone, and you're good to go.
It's in your wallet.
It's in your wallet, and you're just done. That's the end of it. It's really easy, and you've got a ticket. And in baseball, in a season that's 162 games, 81 home games, they're not selling out any of them. I mean, there's like 2 they'll sell out. So you're always going to get a ticket, especially if you're just picking 10.
Right. Yeah, it'd be harder for us here. Like, you'd have to have a sign-up deadline and window for the big Florida or Clemson game. I mean, because you wouldn't want to black those out. You'd want to give people a chance.
You have to give people a chance.
But you'd have to tell them the window is X amount of weeks in advance or something along those lines.
Yeah. I wonder. I just think it's fascinating to
You'd
kick
be able
that
to get in
around.
every basketball game here, pretty much.
Easily. Even the ones they say are sellouts. They could have walked in easily.
To Louisville this weekend. Yeah, they call that a sellout. That wasn't even
close.
Now, Duke was, but, I mean, let's just say that you call it a month in advance. It's like you have to get – it's like tee times. You know, you get a membership at a golf course. There are different levels. It's like, all right, you can do a tee time with 24 hours notice or 6 days notice or 14 days notice.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to kick that around because they're going to have to solve the problem. Attendance is dropping across the board. People just aren't going because the in-home experience is that great.
I love the idea of the hotel in Doak. Like, that is a one-stop shop. That would have been, I don't know how many millions of dollars that would cost to start up.
I think eventually that is their plan.
But how many people would do that? I think a lot of people would. If you could make their different classes of hotel rooms, like suites versus regular
now
rooms
you're
and all that
talking
stuff.
about really getting crazy. Yeah, maybe that is the future 50 years from now when we're old and or dead. I mean, you get something like that where every stadium in America is
just a hotel.
It's just
you look out over your
check
balcony.
in, you're
like,
good.
okay, so if
go
you've
to
been
the
to
game
SunTrust yet?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go to SunTrust, one of the hotels, they have an Omni there, but then there's also apartment buildings and office buildings. You could just look over the field.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
these
ideal.
are skyscrapers, and you're looking over right field into the. That would be just phenomenal if stadiums were like that.
Really cool. We'll come back, wrap it up momentarily.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
A fresh side of fries and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Receiver Antonio Brown officially has requested a trade from the Steelers. That news following a tweet today from Brown where he said farewell to the Steelers and their fans, adding that it's time to move forward. Brown has wanted a fresh start for quite some time, notes ESPN Steelers reporter Jeremy Fowler.
Brown has been unhappy. I've talked to several people in and around and close to Brown who say that they feel Brown's sick of being the scapegoat for the Steelers' problems and wants to show he can thrive elsewhere. He's had minimal contact with the team. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has been handling that contact.
Brown's been the subject of widespread trade speculation after failing to show up the day before the regular season finale. Texans expected to release receiver Demaryius Thomas. The 31-year-old suffered a season-ending torn Achilles in December. He's due a non-guaranteed $14 million salary in 2019. Adam Schefter and ESPN's Chris Mortensen reporting that Jeffrey Simmons, a projected first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, suffered a knee injury during training that is thought to be a torn ACL. NBA Celtics will be without All-Star guard Kyrie Irving tonight against the 76ers because of an injured knee. Coverage at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Boston's blown big leads in each of its last 2 games, both losses. Currently sitting 5th in the East, 1 game back of 4th place Philadelphia. Baseball. Jacob deGrom's representatives have set opening day as their deadline to complete a contract extension with the Mets, informing the team that deGrom will not negotiate during the season. His agency told the Mets the sides could possibly resume contract talks next offseason. deGrom is scheduled to become a free agent after the 2020 season. NHL, Bruins leading scorer David Pastrnak will be out at least 2 weeks after undergoing a procedure on his injured thumb.
Everybody knows that the holiday season is also known as engagement season. Now that the season's over, it's time for some planning. Social Catering has several options for your wedding event and catering needs. They're Tallahassee's largest catering company, and they manage event spaces at venues like Madison Social, Township, and The Gathering. They can plan all of your wedding events, engagement parties, bridal brunches, rehearsals, even wedding receptions. No new rock on the finger? Hey, doesn't matter. Whatever the event, they've got you covered. For more details, email matt@madisonsocial.com. Again, that's matt@madisonsocial.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Ready to rule the open road? Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevy has what you need. Get huge savings on the 2018 Silverado 1500 during the Silverado Sell-Down Sales Event. Shop our huge selection today.
Find new roads at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet and at DaleJr.Chevy.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
This morning you're up early because you're at the DMV. So many people, it takes so much time. Do you have the right form? Are you in the right line? Your number E42, right after C23. This is confusing when your morning is hell. Just go to Taco Bell.
And let us make you breakfast like Taco Bell's Dollar Grilled Breakfast Burrito. All your favorites like eggs and bacon wrapped up in a grilled tortilla. At participating stores during breakfast hours. Prices may vary. Tax extra.
Escúchame, y Dan Levatación, ESPN Radio.
Cleveland Browns sent out a photo of Baker Mayfield dancing, and they did so on Twitter with the note, "Your QB could never." And Arian Foster corrected it with an asterisk and say, "Would never. My QB would never." Baker Mayfield couldn't let that alone. So he said, "I respected you before this. I get it, dog. You're too cool to show any personality. Everybody's different, though. No need to speak on it." I am here for Baker Mayfield spending the rest of his life fighting with everyone who disparages him and changing the entire personality of the quarterback position. He doesn't let Arian Foster get away with 2 words and an asterisk.
This is your guy, man. You've been waiting for this guy for a long time.
Respected you before this. He took all the respect away.
The Dan Levitard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Before we do, did you happen to see the Bradley Beal play with the Wizards-Pistons game last night?
I did not. No.
He took like 17 steps before passing the ball, and they didn't call it a travel. And what was funny about it, they show the play. It's one of many travels this year in the NBA that is beyond egregious. You had the KD 6 steps out of bounds, and they didn't call that. And you've had some others, but this one you can find easily online. It's Bradley Beal getting away with quite an obvious travel. The Referees Association, the official NBA ref group online, said it wasn't because he fumbled the ball. When you go watch the replay, you'll laugh aloud at that. Speaking of which, the NBA tonight right here with the new super team, the Philadelphia 76ers, taking on the Boston Celtics in what is a great matchup, 8 o'clock on TNT, but on the radio, 7:30 right here. We got you covered.
That's right.
For the pregame.
Coverage begins 7:30, and it looks like there is a, to steal a term from Stugatz, a collision course, right, between Toronto and Philly, perhaps, in the East?
Yeah, I mean,
Toronto's muscling up pretty good. They got Gasol and Kawhi.
Yeah, Toronto's good. The real question when we watch any of these teams, even those in the East as you're describing, do any of them have a chance to beat Golden State? Because otherwise we're just running in place, man, again.
Like Toronto might be able to defend a little bit. Like, that's the key is you got to be able to defend Golden State.
Seven-game series is the hard part there. Can they beat them singularly? Yes. If it was best 2 out of 3, maybe 4 out of 7? Probably not.
You're hoping for an implosion in the locker room between KD and Draymond Green as that series goes along, which could happen.
I suppose, yeah, there could be enough. After a while, you win long enough and consistently enough, egos get in the way.
But think about it, these two players separately blew 3-1 leads in a series before. So they've been there and they've done that in separate situations.
That is true. Led one to run to the arms of the other. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great night. Enjoy the NBA later on. We'll talk to you tomorrow.